Chapter 828. Kakik. I'm very happy that you're here. This is the kind of man that I admire. You should admire male insects. Clang. A golden spear suddenly appeared in Chun Hao's hand. As if it had been sealed for too long, the spear's spirit emitted a murderous and bloodthirsty cry. Chun Hao's black hair danced wildly as his spiritual altar bloomed. Endless murderous aura filled the air. Just the aura alone was enough to dye the entire broken peak red. What a strong murderous aura. Oh my God, it's too terrifying. Murderous aura. How many experts did he have to kill to have such an imposing manner? Killing God. He's indeed the killing God. Countless exclamations of admiration sounded out from the crowd, and their horrified gazes stared fixedly at the figure that deterred the surroundings before the battle had even begun. It was as if they'd seen the god of slaughter, Chun Hao, slaughtering all along the way with his spear, and the arrogant figure that stepped on ghastly bones and dyed the sky red with blood. Kakik, what a strong, murderous intent, but it's useless against me. Hiss, 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 hiss. The 8 snake heads that Maurice's had retracted suddenly appeared at this moment. Their forked tongues of different colors flickered, making her incomparably enchanting figure even more strange and terrifying. A terrifying and ever-changing aura and a strong fighting spirit soared into the sky, blocking Chun Hao's murderous aura 1,000 feet away from her. It could not get any closer. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The collision of auras caused a terrifying explosion. At this moment, Chun Hao and Morichi's snorted coldly at the same time. One thrust his spear forward, while the other spat out her tongue. The battle was about to start. All the clamor, discussions, and cheers stopped abruptly. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Wind, rain, thunder, lightning, flying sand, and stones. 8 different types of energy mixed together. Maurice's seemed to have sealed the entire space into a world of energy dominated by her. Her power was unparalleled. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Killing God, Chun Hao is just SOSO. Although it looks like they are evenly matched, our Queen Emily has the absolute upper hand. The 8-division Heavenly Dragon traverses tens of thousands of zhong. Killing God Chun Hao is unable to harm Queen Emily at all. That's right, Queen Maori is a 9-headed divine dragon. As long as the chief god is not killed, she can resurrect infinitely as an 8-step divine dragon unless her energy is depleted. Swoosh, swoosh. The excited discussions and cheers of the insectoids grew louder and louder. Even the foreign cultivators had the same thought. On the other hand, the human clan was not as imposing as when Chun Hao first appeared. They all looked solemn and were not optimistic about Chun Hao's current situation. The killing god is invincible in close combat, and no one can stop him in close combat. But this Morichi's was obviously prepared. He blocked the killer god from 10,000 feet away from the beginning. If the killer god can't break through and get close, the situation won't be optimistic. F***CK. This woman is actually so strong. How strong is Boss's combat power? It should be more than this, right? If we really can't get close to it, we might really be in danger. Brother Pan, if you were here, would you be able to achieve a breakthrough? If I could, I wouldn't be worried. This woman has 8 tongues, and she's even more cunning and vicious than you. Yet, she's even more powerful than I am. If I were to fight her, I would definitely suffocate to death. Pan Long stared at Chun Hao, who was still fighting fiercely, and said, "But Senior Brother has already stepped into the late stage of the heavenly celestial stage. His absolute strength should be even stronger. F***CK. If I had known, I would have fought Senior Brother. Now, Senior Brother has been in seclusion for 200 years. No one knows how he's doing. Yes, that's not right. Humain should know." Du Jing suddenly looked at Humain. When Pan Long heard Du Jing's words, He immediately turned to look at Hu Mei-nyang, who was not far away. After Chun Hao came out of seclusion, he rushed here directly. When he came here, he was completely entangled with Hu Mei-nyang. Although they knew that there was some agreement between the two and that they should also be cultivating, no one knew what exactly they were doing. However, one thing was certain. Hu Mei-nyang had participated in Chun Hao's cultivation of heaven's punishment. Hu Mei-nyang should more or less be more clear about Chun Hao's current combat power. But at this moment, Hu Mei-nyang's expression did not change at all. She only stared at Chun Hao, who was fighting on Broken Peak. She seemed to be immersed in it, and no one could see any emotional fluctuations at all. F*CK, I couldn't tell. It should be fine. If it's something, I don't believe that she won't be nervous. Not to mention that she has long taken a liking to Boss. Even if it's for the sake of the human race and her own interests, she will still show it. Brother Pan, look, the sisters-in-law don't seem to be worried at all. Is it just the two of us who are worried for nothing? No. After this, no matter what, I have to fight with senior brother a few times. As brothers, if I don't understand my brother's true strength, what kind of brother are we? I support you mentally, Brother Pan. Chen Hao, how is the first dish this king has prepared for you? If this is all you have, then this king will be very disappointed. This king is looking forward to fighting with you in close combat. Dragon and Phoenix. Ha ha! Maurices, who was nearly 1,000 miles away, swayed her slender waist and laughed like a flower. Mysterious laws of divine power were continuously injected into the 8 forked tongues, controlling the battle with ease. It tastes like wax. Break. Buzz. As Chun Hao spoke, his physical body suddenly emitted a light that was brighter than the sun. A terrifying, vibrating sound erupted from the golden spear. In an instant, the spear turned into a swimming dragon, and the sky was filled with spear shadows. It was as if the scorching sun had pierced through the dark clouds. His aura and strength didn't increase by much at this moment, but the divine power contained within and his speed had increased by several times. No matter how the 8 forked tongues entangled him, he still rode the wind and broke through the waves, breaking through the air and advancing forward. Good. 10,000 dragons emerge. Roar, rumble. Chun Hao suddenly went berserk. Before the human race had time to feel excited, they were all stunned by the terrifying ultimate technique that Maurices released. They all sucked in cold breaths. The incomparably beautiful main head opened its mouth and spurted out, and the 8 division heavenly dragons disappeared. Instead, they were replaced by colorful divine dragons that connected their heads and tails into a single line like a string of cannons. Endless pressure swept through heaven and earth, and the energy it carried was like a mountain and an ocean. It covered the sky and earth as it charged toward Chun Hao. 10,000 dragons are too strong. Even the Zerg Queen of the Daluo Golden Wonderland can't hatch and control 10,000 insect soldiers. The female Zerg were respected, and the heavenly immortal realm could be called the Queen. If a queen didn't consider the strongest combat power, she could transform into an army of Zerg. Moreover, every member of the army would be completely controlled by the queen. Without a doubt, this was one of the most powerful talents of the Zerg. This was also the reason why Maurices had expressed her interest in Chun Hao in front of the cultivators of the 10 major galaxies. If she could dual cultivate with a super talented human like Chun Hao, she would definitely be able to condense batches of terrifying mutated insect soldiers. In the future, it would not be impossible for her to dominate the entire Zerg race. However, no heavenly immortal realm queen of the Zerg race had ever been able to achieve 10,000 insect soldiers. At least, the cultivators of the Zerg race had never heard of it. However, Maurices, the queen who had full combat power before entering the primitive mystic realm, had achieved it. Crazy Queen Zerg. At this moment, even Hu Mei-nyang frowned slightly, and there was a hint of nervousness in her eyes. Even if I were to go against her, I'm afraid I would have a 50% chance of winning. No wonder she's so confident. Maurice's talent is so strong. Chu Feiyang of the Tyrants frowned. Obviously, The power that Morrisis displayed was beyond his expectations. If this female Zerg could be subdued by me and become my insect pet, that would be great. With the strongest bloodline of the Protoss, it's possible for us to dominate the 10 major galaxies in the future. Lucinia of the Protoss's eyes flickered as he stared at the beautiful figure of Morrisis from the Zerg race. You're just an insect. How dare you call yourself a dragon? If one comes, I'll kill one. If a pair comes, I'll kill a pair. Die. Boom. Faced with the giant, 7-colored snakes flying towards him like locusts, the murderous intent in Chun Hao's mind was completely ignited. A bloodthirsty emotion instantly filled his state of mind. Kill. Kill, kill. Kill, kill, kill. This was not an illusion of energy, but the insect soldiers that Morrisis had condensed. The bloodline aura in them was the fuse that ignited the murderous intent. Chi, 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 chi. At this moment, Chun Hao did not even charge forward. He waved his golden spear wildly in his hand, and in an instant, flesh and blood flew everywhere. The strong stench of blood filled the entire sky. Roar. The roar was like thunder rolling out. The god of killing Chun Hao had become a real god of killing at this moment. He was bathed in blood. This is the second dish that I prepared for you. Enjoy it slowly. He he he. I'm looking forward to seeing how much energy you have left after killing these 10,000 dragons. Ha! Morris's voice, as well as her sometimes seductive and sometimes licentious laughter, sent chills down the spines of all the cultivators. This was only the second dish, and it was already so terrifying. What would the third dish be like? All the cultivators present, whether it was the Zerg race or the other 9 galaxies, knew that the Zerg race insect soldiers would not consume any energy from Morrisis. It would only consume a little of her mind. Although her insect soldiers were far inferior to ordinary heavenly immortal cultivators, they were powerful in numbers and were not afraid of death. This was like ants biting an elephant to death. Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. Puff, 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 boom, boom, boom. God of killing Chun Hao's black hair danced wildly. Every spear was stained with blood, ending the life of one or even several insect soldiers. The moment each insect soldier died, it would become a body bomb, exploding its own energy to attack Chun Hao. If it were 10 or 100, it would be nothing to Chun Hao. However, there were 10,000 of them. Without a doubt, if Chun Hao continued like this, even if he could kill all 10,000 insect soldiers, the consumption would be huge. At that time, what would happen if he faced Morrisis, who was almost at her peak state? Chapter 829. Kill, kill, kill. Only kill. Chun Hao's glabella instantly turned into a blood-red amber. The blood-red crystal shot out in all directions like a bloodthirsty demon god's eye, coldly looking at everything and harvesting lives. As he moved, the spear shot out in all directions, and flesh and blood flew everywhere. His blood-stained robe and cold eyes turned all the insect soldiers in front of him into dead objects. Killing god Chun Hao, at this moment, became a real killing machine, stepping on the sea of blood and flesh all the way forward. Bloodthirsty killing god Chun Hao. What a powerful combat skill. Clean and neat, without a trace of energy wasted. He doesn't need to use any moves, and the insect will die as soon as the spear shoots out. No wonder he's called the killing god. Who can resist the invasion of such killing intent? The evil thoughts of killing are rooted in the soul imprint. Is he trying to become a demon through killing, to prove his Tao through killing? Since ancient times, no one has succeeded. You're wrong. If that's the case, his title won't be killing god, but killing demon. You've never seen it before. You're all insect soldiers now, so of course you can't see it. But back then, Chun Hao, the god of slaughter, slaughtered his way through the non-humankind army without losing his mind. He didn't hurt any human being by accident, and he even saved countless human beings. His willpower is ridiculously strong. At least until now, the evil thoughts of killing can't make him succumb. Invincible in close combat. I finally understand why killing god Chun Hao is publicly recognized as invincible in close combat. His physical body was ridiculously strong. He simply allowed the insect soldiers to self-destruct without any defense. Coupled with this supreme combat skill that could turn complex into simple, who would be able to defeat him in the same realm and with the same strength? Unfortunately, he met the insect queen, who can be called, no, definitely an empress-level Morris's. How? Chun Shui, who was wearing a blue dress, had her breasts moving up and down. Electric arcs surrounded her, and her beautiful face bloomed with a touch of uncontrollable excitement. After 200 years of seclusion, he had emerged with a strong momentum. Without any suspense, he had become the most dazzling existence. Regardless of whether he won or lost in this battle, his title of Killing God would remain unshakable. Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yuyu, the sisters, and even Bailey Ning Bing, a cultivator from planet Wuji, felt their hearts tremble at this moment. It was as if they were looking at a youth who came from the mortal world step by step. Everywhere he went, he would become the most dazzling existence. Now, in the clash between the top geniuses of the 10 major galaxies, he was still shining brightly. No one could cover up his brilliance. So what if it's a 10,000 insect army? Big Brother himself was a miracle. This time, Big Brother will create a miracle as well. His true fighting prowess isn't even worthy of carrying Big Brother's shoes. No one knew what the eccentric Chun Ling was thinking at this moment. Of course, no one knew that before Chun Hao came out of seclusion, Chun Ling, who had already reached the divinity stage, was easily sealed by Chun Hao and fell into a boundless illusion. Although she didn't resist at that time, she knew that the result would be the same. Now, Big Brother has already broken through to the late stage of Sky Immortal. How strong is he now? Chun Ling was excited just thinking about it. Strong, strong, strong. What is arrogant? What is fierce? What is ruthless? Damn it. I think we should forget about it. There is no need to test Senior Brother's strength for now. No way, Brother Pan. As a brother, how can I not understand my brother's fighting prowess? Of course, I am still waiting to see the exciting battle between you and Big Brother after this. F***CK off. Although I like to fight, I am not a masochist. But it is not a good idea for Senior Brother to continue like this. So what? There is no other way. We can only kill all the insect soldiers. Big Brother's recovery ability is unparalleled. There is still hope, as long as that mother insect isn't too strong. Bullshit. To be able to condense 10,000 insect soldiers, there has never been one in the history of insect race. How can it not be strong? Damn it, this is only her second dish. This is so F***king scary. Are you enjoying the battle and killing? Hu Meinyang, who knew Chun Hao's current fighting prowess the best, frowned slightly as she muttered to herself. Endless Taoist laws could not help but revolve around her as her emotions fluctuated. Her charming eyes stared at the cold and ruthless Chun Hao, who was killing crazily. Until now, you still haven't revealed that you have cultivated the secular heart sutra. You haven't even used the secular sword Dao that can save energy. Is it true that love grows with time? You and I can no longer do whatever we want. I didn't do it, and you didn't do it either. Bah, I, Umeinyang, am the current saintess of the Misty Rain Pavilion. How can I fall in love? Buzz. Humeinyang's forehead suddenly trembled imperceptibly before her expression returned to normal. If there is anyone to conquer, it should be you. You willingly beg me to be my Tao protector. Roar, roar, boom, 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 boom. Endless blood dyed the entire sky red. Mountains of corpses and seas of blood piled up. Gotta slaughter Chun Hao advanced proudly. 100, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 for 1,000, 5,000 as the endless blood and flesh spread out. The killing intent between Chun Hao's eyebrows became brighter and brighter. It was as if a real pupil had appeared, producing a terrifying deterrent force. What was even more shocking was that it actually started to devour the extremely dense blood and chi with visible ripples, causing the killing intent on Chun Hao's body to become stronger and stronger, more and more frightening. Even though there was a seal between them, it still made the nearby expert's hair stand on end. 7,000, 8,000, 8,000. But God of Slaughter, Chun Hao's aura hasn't weakened at all. How is this possible? He's too powerful. 9,000. Is he an arrow at the end of its flight? Or has he fallen into the killing intent and become a killing demon? No. If he becomes a killing demon, he will definitely devour the blood and flesh energy crazily. As time passed, the more the cultivators watched, the more shocked they became. Even the top experts like Chu Feiyang had completely lost their composure at this moment. The battle skills and battle prowess displayed by Death God Chun Hao were simply too terrifying. His Zhen Yuan, divine sense, essence, qi, and spirit seemed endless. Even now, not only had they not weakened in the slightest, they had become even more ferocious. If Chun Hao had fallen into the killing intent and devoured the blood and flesh energy crazily, it would be understandable. But Chun Hao was only devouring the killing intent sword soul between his eyebrows. It shouldn't be like this at all. In such an intense battle, it's impossible to recover so quickly. There's only one explanation. Either he's an arrow at the end of its flight, or his true core strength, qi, and spirit are unbelievably majestic. When God of Slaughter Chun Hao stepped into the fairy immortal realm, he attracted the wrath of the heavens. And it's said that he's ridiculously strong. It should be the energy in his body itself is as vast as the sea. God of Slaughter Chun Hao. God of Slaughter Chun Hao. I didn't expect that Chu Feiyang, had underestimated you after all. With such strength, even if you lost to the perverted queen, Morichi's, you're still very strong. Even I didn't expect Morichi's to have hidden her strength so deeply. She's at the fairy immortal realm and has the strength of the queen of bugs. Fortunately, the human race met her first, and fortunately, the human race didn't send a random cultivator to deal with her. Otherwise, no matter who met Morichi's, most of their strength would be consumed by the bugs. I can't do it. Hu Meinyang definitely can't do it. And Ye Fan from the divine race is even more impossible. The top expert of the tyrants, Chu Feiyang, thought in his heart. At this point, Chu Feiyang had no choice but to admit defeat. Even though he didn't fight, he could already predict the result. It wasn't that he was inferior to Morichi's, but the insect soldiers of the insect race were equivalent to accumulating strength. They themselves were extremely heaven-defying existences. What was more frightening was that Morichi's had an unprecedented talent in condensing insect soldiers. Otherwise, if it was just the Queen's 1,000 insect soldiers, there would be nothing to be afraid of. Boom. Just when everyone was shocked by Chun Hao's ability to fight for a long time, Morichi's finally couldn't stay calm anymore. Roar! The incomparably beautiful figure instantly exuded a dense aura and expanded thousands of times in an instant, turning into a giant python that was thousands of feet long, covered with colorful scales, and had 9 huge heads. It covered the sky and the sun, and its momentum was boundless. God of Massacre Chun Hao, you are indeed the God of Massacre Chun Hao. I didn't expect that the second dish would not be much of a threat to you. You are indeed very strong, so strong that you make me excited. No matter what, I will take you under my command and make you my first Taoist companion, a real Taoist companion. Ha ha ha! Come on, the third dish. Chi. As fast as lightning, Morichi's, who had transformed into his original form, suddenly rushed toward Chun Hao, who was surrounded by insect soldiers. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, the remaining thousands of insect soldiers were like locusts that were not afraid of death as they violently shot toward Chun Hao, cooperating with Morichi's attack. The insect soldiers were like cannonballs. Wherever Morichi's body passed, the void collapsed, and there was a rumbling explosion. No one could describe how powerful this attack was. Everyone, including Hu Meinyang, opened their mouths wide in shock. Screams rang out incessantly. Countless human cultivators could not help but shout for killing God Chun Hao to admit defeat and retreat. The insectoids, on the other hand, screamed excitedly, venting the excitement in their hearts. This was definitely the strongest queen that the insectoids had seen in a million years. There was no one like her. At this moment, Chun Hao, who had completely lost his mind and turned into a killing machine, suddenly narrowed his eyes and finally revealed a touch of human emotion. Solemnity. She is so strong. Tens of thousands of insect soldiers had already surprised Chun Hao, and he had to reveal his peak combat skills, vigorous vital energy, essence, and spirit, as well as his heaven-defying recovery ability. Now, just by the aura that Morichi's released, Chun Hao knew that if he didn't use his strongest trump card, it would not be a simple defeat. Come on then. Boom. Without the slightest hesitation, Chun Hao directly raised his battle intent, essence, energy, spirit, true essence, and physical strength to the peak. Every single cell in his body started to burn and emitted crackling sounds of explosions. Surging vital energy and blood shot into the sky like a divine sword that pierced through the sky and pierced the sky. His body was like a longbow that was suddenly pulled to its limit. Endless power was crazily poured into the golden spear that he held horizontally. The spear light was not exposed, and its color became brighter and brighter. Chapter 830. Go, Chi, boom. With a loud shout, the golden spear, which was infused with terrifying power and endless runes, exploded like fireworks. With a boom, it tore through the void and shot toward the giant python like a dart. It's useless. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Break. The huge snake's forked tongue spat out a terrifying power that swept towards the golden spear. Chi, 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 chi. But at this moment, 5 swords with different colors and sharp sword chi flew out from between Chun Hao's eyebrows as fast as lightning. A 5-colored ring that connected the 5 swords floated above his head. The 5 swords hung upside down in 5 directions, with Chun Hao in the middle. The Xianhuang ring and the 5 elements sword. But they were definitely not the original Xianhuang ring and the 5 elements sword. Whether it was the grade, the materials, or the complicated runes on them, they were all combined magic treasures that Chun Hao had specially condensed with his strongest power when he was practicing the Great 5 Elements art during the 200 years of seclusion. The Great 5 Elements art was one of the top 10 unique skills of the 3,000 Great Ways. The 5 types of energy corresponded to the 5 basic unique skills, which are the Greenwood Emperor skill, the Heavenly Fire Fist, the Platinum Sky-Splitting Cut, the Black Water Palm, and the Mountain Crushing skill. Only by practicing the 5 basic unique skills to the extreme, and then using the mysteries of the 5 elements and combining them into one and performing them at the same time, could one be considered to have reached the basic level. Strictly speaking, as long as one comprehended the profundities of the 5 elements, one would be able to cultivate it and succeed in it. However, as one's comprehension of the laws of heaven deepened, the might of the 5 elements would differ greatly from one another. For example, when Chun Hao was a lower realm, he used the Platinum Sky-Splitting Cut as a killing move. Now, he could kill thousands of people like him in a second. During the 200 years of seclusion, Chun Hao had practiced the Great 5 Elements art for at least dozens of years, until he could use it as a trump card. Moreover, Chun Hao, who already had his own Tao, couldn't practice the Great 5 Elements art untouched. The same power and the same absolute art would have different powers when used by different people. It was also because of this principle that some inherited absolute arts became stronger and stronger, while some became weaker and weaker with each passing generation. This was also because the cultivators kept on fusing their own Taos into it. What's that? 5 elements combination magic treasure? What pure origin energy? Is this the strongest unique skill of the god of killing, Chun Hao? I've never seen him use it. Can this be used against Morissette? Whether it was the cultivators who weren't familiar with Chun Hao, or who Mainyang and the others who were familiar with Chun Hao, they were all incomparably shocked when they saw a ring and 5 swords suddenly appear above Chun Hao's head. Roar! At the moment when everyone was surprised, Chun Hao's crazily soaring aura suddenly burst out with a roar that resounded through the world. Immediately, the yellow ring of 5 elements sword burst out with 5 types of extremely pure origin energy. At this moment, Chun Hao's body was divided into 5. Green with Emperor Skill, Heavenly Fire Fist, Platinum Sky, Slash, Black Water Palm, and Earth Collapsing Mountain Spell. 5 unique skills were used at the same time. Chi. At this moment, the world lost its color, and everything was silent. It was as if space had collapsed and time had stopped. The 5 basic unique skills combined into one, and the great 5 elements art of 3,000 Great Tao appeared. Boom, 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 boom. 5 intertwined rays of 5-colored brilliance. Wherever they passed, thousands of insect soldiers were annihilated instantly. Not even dregs were left. It was mighty and unstoppable as it met the insufferably arrogant Morissette. What? Oh my God, oh my God! All kinds of exclamations burst out from all directions. Everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. Oh no! Morissette, who was confident of victory, suddenly narrowed her eyes as she felt a strong threat of death. What unique skill is this? How can it be so terrifying? Fight! Boom! Morissette, who had been holding back a little as a trump card, released all of her power at this moment without hesitation. At this point, it was already impossible for her to avoid it, even if she wanted to. When 2 enemies met on a narrow path, the brave would win. She knew that she could not defeat Killer God Chun Hao in this collision, but she had no choice but to use all of her power to fight back. This was already beyond her understanding. She had never thought that Killer God Chun Hao's trump card would be so powerful. If she had known, she would never have chosen to fight head-on first. Unfortunately, there was no way out now. Retreat! Retreat! The experts from the 10 galaxies who were close to the front suddenly shouted. Boom, boom, boom. In fact, there was no need to remind them. The terrifying explosion and raging rune energy from the seal had already let the surrounding cultivators know what was going to happen. One by one, they frantically activated their protective chi and retreated rapidly. Fortunately, those who were qualified to stand in front were all top experts. In an instant, they formed a chain of movements. Boom, boom, boom. The seal formed by the joint efforts of 10,000 experts collapsed directly. The broken peak turned into dust out of thin air. The endless surrounding mountains collapsed, and heaven and earth were in chaos. I admit defeat. Ow! Boom, boom, boom. Only the giant snakehead in the middle was still intact. The other 8 snakeheads were smashed into pieces. They dragged their bodies that were only a few feet long and were covered in wounds as they fled toward the insect race's camp. The strong smell of blood and the pressure of killing swept across the entire world. In the billowing dust, Killer God Chun Hao, who was covered in blood and also heavily injured, broke through the air with a murderous aura. The dark yellow ring and the 5-element sword were still suspended above his head, flowing with 5-colored light. Everyone was stunned in midair, staring at Killer God Chun Hao, who was still surging with terrifying energy and pressure. The strongest genius of the insect race, Morissette, had lost Killer God Chun Hao. The number 1 expert of the tyrants, Chu Feiyong, felt a sense of powerlessness from the bottom of his heart. He was full of helplessness as he thought about the name that he did not take to heart before this battle. How could he be so abnormal? How could Lu Qinya of the Protoss, who used to be high profile, but actually kept a low profile, was also disturbed by Chun Hao's heaven-defying attack? The most fundamental power of the 5 elements. The 5 elements circulate, and the unique skills of the 5 elements are combined into one. They complement each other and circulate endlessly. Could it be the legendary unique skill of the 5 elements patriarch that reached the peak of the Great Path? It must be so. Unique skill of the Great Path. It must be Killer God Chun Hao. Killer God Chun Hao. After a short silence, when everyone began to discuss in unison, someone among the human race cultivators took the lead to shout out the words Killer God Chun Hao. Immediately, the entire human race was in an uproar. killer god Chun Hao, in his first battle after 200 years, had revealed his true identity and deterred the 10 major galaxies. 4. 1. In the endless cheers, everyone seemed to have forgotten that the battle between the human race and the insect race was not over yet. This made Chun Hao, who was the focus of everyone's attention, spit out a few words. Coiling Dragon, you go. Yes, senior brother. Coiling Dragon replied excitedly. His huge and valiant body directly soared into the sky, and the aura of an ancient beast filled the air. Because of Chun Hao's stimulation, his battle intent rose to a terrifying level. Chu Feiyong, as the commander, shouldn't you condense the seal and rebuild the arena? Good. Thousands of experts from the major galaxies will condense the seal together. Rise. Chi. Rumble. Chu Feiyong was not careless. He took the lead and moved mountains and filled in rocks. With his own strength, he directly rebuilt the arena with a supreme divine ability. Immediately, the experts of the 10 major galaxies worked together again and condensed the seal to protect the arena. Then, the second expert of the insect race appeared. Judging by his aura alone, he was definitely not inferior to Coiling Dragon. However, from the beginning of the battle, he was completely suppressed by Coiling Dragon's wild attacks and was defeated without any suspense. It was not that the second expert of the insect race was too weak, but Maurice almost lost his life in defeat. To any insect race member, it was an unbearable burden. Their momentum was gone, and they lost their confidence. It could be said that they were defeated like a landslide. Then, the insect race sent out their third expert. Chen Ling took the initiative and used his soul attack to easily win the battle, allowing the human race to obtain the final victory. 6-1. Miss Emoli, how are you? Are you mocking this prince? I wouldn't dare. Miss Emoli, no matter if it is combat power or talent, you are the best in the insect race. Especially in the talent of your insect soldiers, it is unprecedented. What do you want to say? Just say it. I still need to heal. Does Miss Emoli only have eyes for the killing god Chun Hao? Hee. Why? Lu Qinya, do you think that you should be there? Or are you willing to follow me? If that is the case, although you are very ordinary, I do not mind following you. The bloodline of the Protoss is not bad. Miss Moli, although I have always kept a low profile, since I am here to talk to you, I naturally have the ability to make you work with me. Oh, Protoss? Even Ye Fan has no right to talk about working with me, let alone you. Ye Fan is just a puppet that I have purposely pushed up. His talent, understanding, and strength are not even worthy of carrying my shoes. There is still close to 1,000 years left in the primitive secret territory, although I am unable to fight against the killing god Chun Hao now. As long as we work together, I believe that we will be able to get what we need. You have not even shown your strength. Why should I believe you? If I show my strength now, it will cause unnecessary trouble. Otherwise, I would not have come to talk to you. Don't be in a hurry to reject me. When this battle is over, we can meet secretly. You will be satisfied. It is impossible for you to get the killing god Chun Hao on your own, but I can help you. Think about it, and tell me the location. No one knew that Lu Qinya of the Protoss had secretly communicated with the severely injured Morris. The terrifying strength that the killing god Chun Hao had shown made Lu Qinya change his mind. He decided to keep a low profile until the end, and Morris became the target that he wanted to use, Little Lien. Yes, looking at the murderous and soul-stirring Chun Hao, Tantai Lien knew what Chun Hao wanted to do when she was called. She blushed slightly and went to Chun Hao's side. We'll be back in 3 days. Don't worry. Whoosh, Chun Hao said to the girls and the others. Then he pulled Tantai Lien and broke through the air, disappearing from everyone's sight in an instant. The remaining murderous aura did not dissipate. Chapter 831. The cultivators of the 10 galaxies returned to the station with different feelings. No one would have thought that the powerful insect race would be defeated by the human race with a score of 6-1. What was even more unexpected was that the powerful Morichis would be defeated by the even more amazing killing god Shun Hao, facing the crazy slaughter of tens of thousands of insect soldiers and a last attack that defied the natural order. Shun Hao was destined to push the killing god to new heights. Who could compete with him? In addition, the performance of the Proud Heavens members, coupled with the influence of the killing god Shun Hao, made everyone understand that the real combat power of the Proud Heavens members was probably beyond everyone's imagination. Coupled with the unfathomable Yang, the human race had become an existence that the three strongest galaxies could not compete with. 3 days passed in a flash. The 10 galaxies gathered at the new Broken Peak again. Today, the first battle was between the tyrants and the insect race, and the second battle was between the Protoss and the human race. Although Morichis of the insect race seemed to have completely recovered on the surface, everyone knew that it was only her body that had recovered. Her insect soldiers could not be condensed in such a short time. However, even so, Chu Feiyong of the tyrants did not dare to underestimate her. Morichis was not only strong in her insect soldiers, but also in her terrifying power after she transformed into her original form. At least, under the last attack of the killing god Shun Hao, Chu Feiyong was sure that his situation would not be better than Morichi's. The Protoss masters all looked dignified. In the past 200 years, everyone knew that the reason why Lu Qin led the Protoss to hunt down the Proud Heavens members, including the triggering of the showdown between the 10 galaxies, was all because of the Proud Heavens member Lan Feng. The human race, or to be exact, the killing god Shun Hao and the Proud Heavens members must hate the Protoss the most. Today, even if the killing god Shun Hao did not say anything, the Proud Heavens members would definitely be ruthless. Let's go. Chu Feiyong took the lead and appeared with 9 tyrants masters. The previous calm and arrogant demeanor had disappeared and was replaced by a dignified fighting spirit. The strength of Chun Hao and Morichis had an obvious impact on him. Without the confidence of the number 1 master, even he would feel uncomfortable if he acted like that, let alone others. Ha ha! Chu Feiyong, do you dare to fight with me? What everyone didn't expect was that Morichis didn't seem to be affected by her defeat in the battle with Chun Hao. As soon as she appeared, she provoked the number 1 master of the tyrants, Chu Feiyong. Humph. Morris, your temperament is really admirable. Victory and defeat are common in war. What's more, I lost because I underestimated my enemy. Do you dare or not? To battle with all the experts in the world is this king's greatest wish. Ha! Wait until your insect army is fully nourished and your vitality is restored. If I want to win, I naturally have to win fair and square, so as not to leave any excuses. Chu Feiyong's face was ugly. It was obvious that Morris's was a general. Oh, so you don't dare? Then forget it. This king has no interest in a person who has lost his confidence. Morris continued to mock him, taking a step back in order to advance. Yesterday, in the battle with killing god Shun Hao, she had already exposed all her cards. Although she lost, she believed that she could suppress Chu Feiyong without the insect soldiers. After probing the other party a little, he realized that it was indeed the case. Don't dare? Chu Feiyong, I'm just looking at the big picture. You are very strong, but I don't have the confidence to win. I don't want to affect the ranking of the tyrants because of my personal feelings. If you want to fight, you're free to challenge me after the competition. Chu Feiyong, welcome you at any time. Chu Feiyong was obviously weaker, but his words were upright, so the tyrant's cultivators didn't underestimate him at all. Stop talking nonsense. Send your people to fight. Morris's goal of suppressing the tyrant's morale with her own strength didn't succeed, so she could only plan carefully and strive for victory. The overall strength displayed by the tyrants and the Protoss was not inferior to that of the Zerg. The Zerg's morale was severely suppressed because of the battle with the Terrans 3 days ago. Morichis knew very well how big of an impact this would have on the following matches, but it was not something she could change now. The battle began very quickly. Morris's racked her brains to come up with arrangements, but in the end, she still couldn't change the outcome of the battle. Chu Feiyong avoided her and won a round. and she could only choose one of the opponent's cultivators to fight first to win a round. But in the end, the overall strength of the tyrants was strong, and the morale of the Zergs was low. The tyrants won with a score of 6-4. It's finally our turn. Damn it, Protoss. Boom. Coiling Dragon's aura was monstrous, and the aura of an ancient beast filled the air. This guy couldn't suppress his hatred for the Protoss even before the competition started. Kill them all. There's no need to hold back today. The sinister and cunning dude Jing was provoked by Coiling Dragon's aura, and in an instant, he revealed his true ruthlessness. His aura became extremely gloomy and terrifying. At the same time, beside the two, the girls also released a trace of their aura. Although they tried their best to suppress it, the battle intent in their eyes was like a precursor to the eruption of a volcano. Gao Lan and Bailey Ningbing have been replaced. Today, except for Hum Mainyong, all the members of AO Tian are fighting. They are much stronger than when they fought against the Zergs. The Protoss have 4 top masters, and they can't be underestimated. Besides, it is said that under the leadership of Lu Qinya, the Protoss have been hunting down the members of AO Tian for more than 100 years. Wait and see. This battle is definitely the most exciting battle. I'm afraid none of the members of AO Tian will hide their strength. This should be AO Tian's strongest lineup. Hu Mainyong, Chun Hao, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Long Ting, Tantai Lian, Xia Yuyu, and Chun Ling. Except for Liang, who didn't make it back, all the members of AO Tian who had the ability to fight were fighting. As for the sisters Lung Ninghuan and Lung Ninghu, they were strong together and weak apart. In this kind of battle, it was naturally impossible for the two of them to fight together. The combat power of one person was limited, so Chun Hao didn't let them fight. Today's goal was not only to win, but to unleash the strongest power of AO Tian. Kill. As long as the opponent didn't admit defeat, they would reveal all their strength and kill with all their might. Previously, when the 10 humans appeared, they were already standing at the forefront of the human camp. However, the only thing that could be seen were the experts from the 10 galaxies gathered in front. But now, the 10 humans had appeared in the air around New Broken Peak. When they released their auras and officially appeared in front of everyone, it immediately caused a huge uproar. Apart from the insectoid race, this was almost impossible in other galaxies. What was even more shocking was that each of the 7 women could be said to be peerless beauties, blooming with different auras and temperaments. To be able to have one of these women was already a blessing. However, among the 7 women, other than Hu Mainyong, 5 were the Tao partners of God of Slaughter Chen Hao, and 1 was his younger sister. Everyone was envious, but they had to admit in their hearts that probably only a heaven-defying figure like the God of Slaughter, Chen Hao, would be able to possess so many women with shocking and peerless talent at the same time. Moreover, to a certain extent, everyone was clearly aware that Chen Hao's women, especially the women that had grown up with him, were influenced by his karmic luck, and that was why they possessed their current strengths. Keep your spirits up, everyone. God of Slaughter Chen Hao and Hu Mainyong may be strong, but we are competing in overall strength. The members of Proud Heaven are not God of Slaughter Chen Hao. What is there to be afraid of? You're all the top experts of the Protoss. If you're defeated by the opponent's aura, how can you return to the God Realm? Whether you win or lose, fight with all your might. Let them see the power of the Protoss. The might of the gods cannot be violated. Yes, the voice of Nie Fan, the #1 expert of the Protoss, suddenly rang out. The participants of the Protoss instantly sobered up. Idiots, they're simply digging their own graves. No one knew that Lu Qinya, who had quietly retreated behind the scenes, was cursing in his heart. However, he didn't say anything on the surface. He cared about the glory of the Protoss, but he cared more about his own personal glory. If not for the battle between Chen Hao and Morichis, he might have stood out at this moment and shocked the world with a single brilliant feat, but now, he chose to continue enduring. There was no other way. God of Slaughter Chen Hao was too strong. The reason why he didn't remind them was that if he did, it would weaken the Protoss aura. If they lost, they would definitely put a part of the blame on him. He would only be stupid to remind them. Secondly, if the members of Proud Heaven were to vent their anger, it would be easier for him to jump out. There was still nearly 1,000 years left in the primitive secret realm. There was still a lot he could do, and he had plenty of time. Also, he believed that Morichis would definitely ask him to meet. As long as they met, he had the confidence to make Morichis cooperate with him. Lucinia you go. However, what Lucinia didn't expect was that he, who was ranked 4th, would be arranged by Niefan to be the first to fight. This made Lucinia's eyes flash with an imperceptible sharpness. All right, for the glory of the Protoss. Fight! Boom! Lucinia's body suddenly shone with a majestic and terrifying power as he rushed toward Broken Peak. Not only did he not hide anything, but he also looked like he was sacrificing himself for the glory of the Protoss. This instantly won him the cheers of countless Protoss cultivators. Although the former leader of the Protoss had fallen from the altar, he was still the 4th most powerful person of the Protoss. He had already established his prestige and was not a dark horse like Niefan. In fact, he was a stupid horse that could not be surpassed in a short time. Moreover, when they fought against the tyrants, Lucinia had won violently. "Senior brother, let me do it," the coiled dragon monkey said anxiously, his fighting spirit rising to a terrifying level. Lucinia was definitely the most hated person by the members of Proud Heaven. Moreover, in the hearts of the members of Proud Heaven, Lucinia was definitely a terrifying existence. Although no one had really faced him head-on, they all knew that it would not be easy to win against Lucinia. Killing him was even more difficult. "I remember you said that, Lucinia. You were not confident." Chunhao looked at Coiled Dragon and said, "That was indeed the case. Who knew that this guy didn't even have a powerful trump card? Senior brother, I am confident that I can take down the 4th most powerful person of the Protoss," Coiled Dragon said. Chapter 832. It's not that simple. He was the first to see through our disguise. No matter how you look at it, there's no reason for him to be an idiot who would expose himself completely. Don't underestimate him. Like I said, Niefan and Lucinia of the God Race are not simple. At this time, Hu Meinyang also looked at Chunhao and Coiling Dragon and said telepathically, "When you fought with Mauricis, he was calmer than Shu Feiyang." "Oh, you're quite observant. Do you think it's so easy to be the leader of the human race?" Hu Meinyang rolled her eyes at Chunhao. "Then you're up? Do you think Niefan will fight with you? Or rather, who in the Protoss race will fight with you? I'll leave it for last." "All right. Senior, bear with it. It's fine if you don't attack, but if you attack, you have to kill. Lucinia, you can't do it. You're wasting an opportunity." Whoosh! Chunhao leaped into the air, rushing towards the Broken Peak. "God of Massacre, Chunhao. How can it be the God of Massacre?" Chunhao's appearance puzzled countless cultivators. Although Lucinia was once the leader of the Protoss race, strength was strength. Now, he was only the 4th strongest of the Protoss race. In any case, Chunhao should not be the one to fight. This gave people the feeling that it was too wasteful. "God of Massacre, Chunhao. Ha! You really think highly of me." Lucinia was also slightly surprised. He was sure that he had hidden very well, but he did not expect to arouse the suspicion of the human race. Otherwise, God of Massacre Chunhao would not be the one to fight. This also made Lucinia secretly glad that it was the insectoids who fought with the humans first. Otherwise, the tragedy of Maurice would definitely happen to him. He could amaze the world with a single brilliant feat, but in the end, he was defeated without any suspense and even died. "Do you dare to fight?" Chunhao said coldly before he arrived. "Whoosh! Do you think I'm an idiot? Although I don't want to admit it right now, let alone me, Lucinia, I'm afraid no one can fight with you." "Ha ha! Lonely as snow. How enviable. I, Lucinia, can represent the God Race to kill you. Even if I lose, it will be an honorable defeat. I have to thank you for valuing me." "Ha ha!" As expected, Lucinia did not even hesitate as she flew out of the seal. She did not even feel embarrassed when she admitted defeat. Instead, she was laughing loudly with her mouth full of farts. In fact, none of the cultivators present felt that there was anything shameful about him admitting defeat. If he really stayed to fight, he would be a real idiot. This result was also within Chun Hao's expectations. Provocation was useless. He, who had exposed his powerful strength, was destined to be as lonely as the snow. It seems like Lu Qinya is not a simple person. Perhaps I should consider it. The appearance of the god of killing, Chun Hao, had improved Morris's impression of Lu Qinya. In fact, the Protoss had always been under Lu Qinya's leadership, and this alone was enough to make Morichi seriously consider it. However, since it was a cooperation, they naturally couldn't agree so easily. Only then could they increase their capital and bargaining chips in the negotiation. Another point was that Lu Qinya had already seen her true strength and still dared to ask her to cooperate. How could it be possible without any weight? Asking a tiger for its skin, as long as one was not an idiot, they would not do it. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died, let alone cooperate. You go. If you can't kill, admit defeat. When it was the human race's turn to go on stage, Chun Hao directly let Xia Yu go on stage. Among everyone, Xia Yu was not weak in terms of overall combat strength. She was weak in that she did not have a powerful trump card. Under such circumstances, wanting to kill the Protoss cultivators was basically impossible. Therefore, letting her go on stage and letting the other party choose was undoubtedly the best arrangement. Xia Yu was very clear about her own situation. Therefore, when she heard Chun Hao's words, she did not hesitate and directly went on stage. If she could not kill, she would admit defeat. This had already been agreed upon before. Otherwise, if they had a perfect victory of 6 o'clock, although beautiful, it did not have any substantial meaning. They only wanted to win by killing. Only in this way could they repay the Protoss army for more than 100 years of pursuit. Although the leader of the Protoss, Nie Fan, knew that it was extremely difficult to win today's competition, he still had to face it head-on, fighting to a draw with the tyrants. But losing to Chu Feiyong was a very humiliating thing for him. If he could let the Protoss take first place, it was undoubtedly the best way to save face. Therefore, after seeing Xia Yu go on stage, he was very conservative and sent out the 8th expert. Too strong would be a waste of combat strength. Too weak, there was no hope of winning this game at all. Therefore, with his understanding of the members of Ao Tian, sending out the 8th was undoubtedly the best choice. Idiot. Such an idiot as the leader is really a disgrace to the Protoss. Even now, he still wants to win. Is there anyone more idiotic than him? Lu Qinya scolded again. Send out the 2nd and 3rd idiots. Win 2 rounds, don't lose too badly. That's what you should do. If I'm not wrong, as long as Xia Yu can't kill her, she will lose. They don't need to win at all. They're all trash. It has nothing to do with me. It had to be said that Lu Qinya knew Ao Tian too well. Sure enough, as Lu Qinya guessed, Xia Yu was seriously injured and lost. Xia Yu did very well. At the beginning, when she felt that the probability of killing her opponent was very small, she directly hid a little of her combat strength. When she was finally seriously injured and admitted defeat, even the people of Ao Tian couldn't see any clues. The human race was like a cultivator who was injected with chicken blood. When they saw this ending, they were silent and their minds were much clearer. At least, they no longer thought that all the members of Ao Tian were invincible and invincible. After all, there were very few smart people, and the only one who could guess the real thoughts of Ao Tian was probably Lu Qinya. Otherwise, the Protoss wouldn't have burst into cheers like mountains and seas, cheering for the 8th expert and greatly boosting their morale. Lu Qinya couldn't not have a sense of superiority in IQ. He could only curse idiot and retard in his heart. You go except for Humain Yang. You must win this game. This is very important to us. Whether or not we can win today's victory depends on you. The victory of the 8th expert undoubtedly filled Nie Fan with chicken blood and made him see hope. At this moment, it was the turn of the Protoss to take the lead. Nie Fan stared at the 3rd expert with a serious look and said in a loud voice, without the slightest concealment. Doing so may seem like an idiot, but in fact, it was to boost the morale of the Protoss and directly push the third expert out. No problem. As long as Yang doesn't come out, no matter who it is, I will take them down. The third expert said with confidence and arrogance. Senior brother, go. It doesn't matter whether you can do it or not. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. Just come back alive. Don't worry, senior brother. Boom. Damn it, you talk nonsense. Master Pan will teach you a lesson. The towering body of a coiling dragon heavily smashed into the broken peak. The terrifying physical strength and the aura of an ancient beast were released unscrupulously in an instant. When the third expert of the Protoss race fought against the tyrants, he had a narrow victory against the third expert of the tyrants. His battle prowess was incredible, and even Chun Hao wasn't sure if Coiling Dragon would be able to kill him. However, he couldn't allow Yang to make a move. Besides, Coiling Dragon was widely acknowledged as the second brother of Proud Heaven. It was natural for him to be sent out, and it was expected of him, Panlong, you will soon know who is the one talking nonsense. Die. Chi. The third expert of the Protoss race took the lead and attacked. Boss, don't worry. Not to mention Brother Pan, even I am confident that I can take this guy down. Brother Pan, with my guidance, is not only barbaric now. When he is sinister, he is not human. Du Jing suddenly said to Chun Hao through telepathy. He is sinister. Boss, everyone knows that I am sinister, and I can only be very sinister to trick people. But Brother Pan is different. Everyone knows that he is addicted to battle, and he is unparalleled in his wildness. Therefore, even if he learns a little bit from me, the effect is amazing. I have been tricked before. Damn it. I have been in seclusion for 200 years, and I have become so capable. Hearing Du Jing's words, Chun Hao was stunned, but he was really relieved. He was improving, and so were his brothers. Pan Long and the others did not know Chun Hao's true combat strength, and Chun Hao could not determine Pan Long and Du Jing's true combat strength from their auras. After all, he did not have time to spar after coming out of seclusion. God of barbaric technique. Go to hell. Boom. What stunned Chun Hao was that the coiling dragon's aura suddenly soared. The battle had just begun, but it had already shouted barbarian god's art. Not to mention Chun Hao, almost all the cultivators present knew that the coiling dragon was a unique skill that would only be used in dangerous situations. But now, he had used it at the beginning. There were only two possibilities. First, the opponent was too strong, and Pan Long could not resist at all if he did not use it. Second, the wild Pan Long wanted to end the battle quickly and trample on the opponent violently. If it wasn't for Du Jing's words, perhaps Chun Hao wouldn't have thought so much about it. But now, after careful observation, he finally found some clues. What bullshit barbarian god art? It was just the coiling dragon imitating the aura of the barbarian god art. How sinister, Chun Hao said through telepathy. Almost in an instant, Chun Hao could foresee the result. Of course, didn't you see who taught him? Du Jing said smugly. You want to defeat me with this? You must be dreaming. Although the third strongest of the god race was temporarily suppressed by Pan Long, he was not panicked. Instead, he was very excited. The god of barbarian art was one of Pan Long's ultimate skills. Even if he exposed it now, it could not do anything to him. Once the god of barbarian art's bloodline power reached its limit, it would be time for him to launch a violent counterattack. How could he not be excited? Awesome. Although you have a cheap mouth, you do have the right to fight Lord Pan. Pan Long roared excitedly. This was the truth. Pan Long had pushed his strength to its peak, and his opponent was only temporarily suppressed without putting his life on the line. Once he unleashed his full power, they would be evenly matched. Chapter 833. The purple gold war god's axe was as big as Coiling Dragon's body, but in Coiling Dragon's hands, it was as if he was going to split heaven and earth. Boom, boom, boom. A beast in human form. Coiling Dragon is too strong. as expected of Aotion's second brother. The more Panlong fought, the braver he became. His tower-like body swung the war god's axe around, forcing the third strongest warrior of the celestial race to move around the broken peak. In the beginning, he could still attack and defend, but after 5 minutes, he could only defend against the increasingly wild and fierce Panlong. However, even so, the third master of the god race didn't panic. He was waiting for Coiling Dragon to weaken. According to the information he received, Coiling Dragon's barbaric god art would last for 10 minutes at most. The moment it dissipated would be when Coiling Dragon was at his weakest. That would be the moment when he went crazy. Awesome. Ha ha. Watch Lord Pan chop you to pieces. Boom, boom, boom. Coiling Dragon, who had been hiding his strength all this time, went completely crazy. The hundreds of ancient divine beast blood essences hidden in his body burned fiercely at this moment. Coiling Dragon could clearly feel the endless power surging out of his body. Every cell and nerve in his body was excited. What made Panlong even more excited was that the war god axe, the ancient divine weapon that he had never been able to fuse with, seemed to be fusing with his body once more as the blood essence of the 100 ancient divine beasts boiled and began to fuse with his body. You want to wait for Lord Pan's barbaric god art to disappear before giving me a fatal blow? Ha ha ha. You won't have a chance. Chi. Roar. Coiling Dragon suddenly rose into the air, holding the axe with both hands. He seemed to be slowly and heavily raising it above his head. Every time he raised it, the air around Broken Peak became 100 times heavier. The energy of heaven and earth and the air were compressed, creating terrifying hurricanes and air explosions. Wong. Just as the axe was about to reach his head, it suddenly trembled and expanded 100 times. It became a true giant axe that was hundreds of meters long. Its head was as big as a mountain, and its golden light pierced through the sky. Die. Heaven and earth splitter. Boom, boom, boom. He's this strong? When Panlong soared into the sky and was clearly about to unleash his most powerful attack, the third strongest warrior of the god race sensed the violent power that suddenly surged out of Panlong's body. His pupils shrank, and he concluded that this should be Panlong's final act of madness before the god of Berserker's art ended. However, even though he knew this, he had no choice but to unleash all of his strength and his most powerful technique to fight back. Otherwise, with his weak defense, he would definitely be annihilated by the Coiling Dragon. As long as you survive this attack, you'll be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Let's fight. Boom. Rumble. When the Coiling Dragon giant axe, which had expanded to 100 times its original size, violently chopped down, the god race's number 3 expert also simultaneously condensed his most powerful unique skill. When the strong met, the earth cracked, heaven and earth shook, and space collapsed. A deafening explosion resounded through the heavens and earth. The ceiling formation of the 10,000 people began to tremble violently. Boom! Chi! Coiling Dragon and the third, strongest expert of the god race were sent flying by the terrifying energy explosion. However, Panlong only flew backward for a distance of 10,000 feet before he once again charged forward at a high speed while brandishing his giant axe. As for the third, strongest expert of the god race, he was still flying backward like a kite with a broken string. Blood spurted out of his mouth like a fountain. However, he still did not panic. He was seriously injured, indeed seriously injured, but he was sure to win this battle. He was sure that the barbarian god art of Coiling Dragon had disappeared with this attack and had drained all of his strength. And he still had some of his strength left. However, how is this possible? When he saw the aura of the giant axe and the human-shaped ferocious beast Coiling Dragon appear in his eyes at a terrifying speed, his eyes widened in horror. His mind went blank, and there was only boundless fear in his heart. He did not even have time to admit defeat, nor did he have time to think. Coiling Dragon's wild laughter drowned him in endless darkness, and he lost his mind so death was so simple. It can't be? Du Jing was dumbfounded. The rebound after suppression, this guy has improved. Chun Hao's face flashed with a hint of excitement as he spoke. Both he and Du Jing saw clearly that Coiling Dragon had not used the real barbarian god art except for the fake one until he killed his opponent. But he had killed his opponent with absolute strength without any suspense. Oh no! Du Jing's face was a little embarrassed. He, who had cultivated a saint-level Silkworm King, had been quite awesome during this period. At least he had challenged Coiling Dragon several times. But Coiling Dragon had not hardened his heart to taste the taste of the saint-level Silkworm King. But now, no matter how good the conspiracy is, it is not as good as the conspiracy of absolute strength. When this is over, I will let Coiling Dragon train you well. Boss, I know this. There is really no need to train me. You have been in closed-door training for 200 years, and I know it very well. Boss, you can't let Brother Pan trample on his brother at will. Is that so? Then forget it. I will do it myself. Du Jing was dumbfounded, but then he became excited and said, Okay, I would rather be trained by boss. This time it was Chun Hao's turn to be surprised. Well, Brother Pan is not human. He is just venting for the sake of venting. There is really too little to learn. I would rather let boss do it more painfully. Okay, get ready to fight. Chun Hao said, Dead. He was actually killed. Nie Fan of the God Race and all the other cultivators originally thought that the third strongest expert would be the final winner. Until this guy was killed by Coiling Dragon, they did not dare to believe it was true. That was the third strongest expert of the God Race. Everyone knew how strong he was, but he was actually killed. This was definitely the most tragic thing that had happened since the start of the competition. Good. I didn't expect Coiling Dragon to be so strong that he could kill the third strongest expert of the God Race. This is good for us. The insect race that had not yet fought against the God Race was excited at this moment. The death of a true expert of the God Race would reduce their chances of winning when they fought against the insect race. Killing God, Chun Hao's brilliance made me overlook this Coiling Dragon. His bloodline aura is filled with the aura of endless ancient beasts. If I can obtain him, the insect soldiers that I condense will undoubtedly have an astonishing increase in physique. Very good, very good. Let's just treat it as a side dish before obtaining Killing God Chun Hao. A very good side dish, huh? Morris gazed at the wild, coiling dragon with a hint of excitement in his eyes, as if he had seen a delicacy in his hands. He licked his seductive red lips. It's only 2-1. This coiling dragon is indeed very strong, but it doesn't mean that all the members of Proud Heaven are strong. Xia Yuyu is a precedent. We can't lose confidence. Nie Fan recovered from his shock, took a deep breath, and said, Du Jing, the merciless killer. The moment Coiling Dragon returned, Du Jing turned into a stream of light and flew towards Broken Peak. Chapter 834. Brother Nye, let me do it. They killed us, so we must kill them back. Winning or losing is not important. We must not let the human race have an easy time. The second master of the God Race said sternly after seeing the human race send out Du Jing. No, don't be impulsive. Du Jing's strength is average, but his poison skills are strong. Chen Zhan will have a chance to win if he is careful. The primitive mystic realm is still 1,000 years away, and we have many masters. We have long been enemies with the human race. There will be plenty of opportunities for us to take revenge. Now we must focus on the big picture. Nie Fan said with a frown. If this drags on, one of us will be caught by Hum Mainyong. Instead of wasting time, it's better to attack early. Chen Zhan already lost a match against the tyrants. What are the chances of him winning? The second master said unhappily. Chen Zhan's expression turned ugly, but he could not refute it. Chen Zhan's strength is that he is cautious. He lost to Lan Guang of the tyrants because he was too cautious. But against Du Jing, he is undoubtedly the best. As long as he can defend against Du Jing's poison skills, Chen Zhan will definitely win. I am confident that I can win this round. Chen Zhan was grateful after hearing Nie Fan's words and said confidently, Let's go. F***CK. Are you looking down on me? With such strength, you want to compete with me, Du Jing? Damn it. Seeing that Coiling Dragon had killed the third master of the god race, he took the initiative to fight. With his reputation as Du Jing, the god race could only send out the second master if they wanted to defeat him. This was also the opponent he wanted the most. Unfortunately, they only sent out the sixth master. Watch how I kill you. Du Jing was furious. As if possessed by Coiling Dragon, he charged toward Chun Zhan with his sword. Learn from me. Ha, such a weak guy. Even if I killed him, it would be a loss of face. Although Coiling Dragon was slightly injured, he did not even bother to heal himself. He stared at Du Jing excitedly and said, Du Jing and Chun Zhan were locked in a fierce battle and were covered in wounds. However, to everyone's surprise, Du Jing's craftiness and desperation far exceeded their expectations. Relying on his true combat strength, he forced Chun Zhan into a desperate situation. Just as Chun Zhan was about to admit defeat in fear, Du Jing finally released the terrifying power of Poison Hands. His hands condensed into extremely mysterious runes like electric sparks. In an instant, a stream of light shot into Chun Zhan's glabella at a speed that even the mind could not detect. It was extremely fast, terrifying to the extreme, not to mention Chun Zhan. Even the second strongest expert of the god race felt his scalp tingle. If he were in Chun Zhan's shoes, he wouldn't have the confidence to avoid it. Soon after, there was a shrill scream. Chun Zhan held his head and used all his strength to suppress the poisonous bug. Unfortunately, the saint-level Silkworm King that Du Jing had just condensed was too ferocious. In less than 2 seconds, Chun Zhan was left with only a shell of flesh. His soul was destroyed. Damn it, don't waste it. Babies, it's time to eat. What made everyone's hair stand on end was that following Du Jing's words, colorful poisonous insects that were even smaller than ants covered the sky and covered the earth, buzzing as they escaped from his body. In an instant, they covered Chun Zhan's corpse, densely packed together. Wah! Blurg! Countless cultivators who saw this scene couldn't help but vomit. They looked away, especially the female cultivators. All right. Don't fight over rotten bones. They're not nutritious. Stop. Buzz, the densely packed poisonous insects instantly disappeared without a trace, leaving only a skeleton on the ground. Poison King. It must be the king of poisonous bugs. A celestial immortal actually managed to cultivate a poison king. Du Jing is definitely not weaker than Coiling Dragon. Proud Heaven is too strong. The human cultivators who were more familiar with Poison King Valley said in fear and excitement. Poison King, the king of poisonous bugs. In Poison King Valley, only the experts of the Daluo Golden Wonderland could cultivate such a thing. Du Jing, who is only a celestial immortal, actually had his own Poison King. If I had to choose, I'd rather be killed by Coiling Dragon's axe than fight with Du Jing. The experts of the various galaxies all thought to themselves. Fortunately, I didn't fight. The second expert of the god race felt goosebumps all over his body. It wasn't that he didn't think he had the ability to defeat Du Jing, but with Du Jing's methods, even if he won, he would be nauseated for a few days. F*CK. 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 Damn it. Even if it can't poison me, it'll still disgust me to death. A St. Tier Silkworm King is actually so strong. Luckily, I've improved. Coiling Dragon felt his scalp go numb as he thought to himself. 3-1. After 2 people were killed in a row, no matter how stupid Fan was, he couldn't say anything to boost the morale of the people. Amazing. The poison skills of the human race are so powerful. As a member of the insect race, if I can learn Du Jing's poison skills, it will definitely become one of my most powerful trump cards. The insect race's talent in controlling insects will definitely be improved. Proud Heaven really makes me excited. Another delicious side dish. Morichis was so excited that he was almost drooling after discovering a new continent after Coiling Dragon. In the following battle, the gods who had completely lost their confidence didn't even bother to make arrangements. Every one of them was like a frosted eggplant, either surrendering or throwing in the towel when they saw that the situation wasn't looking good. In less than 10 minutes, the humans had turned the score to 6-1. They couldn't even kill their opponents if they wanted to. Nie Fan, Hu Mainyong, and the others didn't even fight. The humans are unstoppable. Proud heaven is too strong. It's not shameful for us sky demons to lose to them. No galaxy can beat them. We elves have no complaints about losing. After today's battle, under the amazing performance of God of Massacre Chun Hao, Hu Mainyong and Proud Heaven's members, all the other races lost the confidence to compete with them. The tyrants, the only ones who didn't fight with the humans, were no exception. They knew best how strong the gods were. Under extremely difficult circumstances, they were only able to achieve a draw of 5-5. But the same lineup couldn't even withstand a single blow from the humans. Under such circumstances, in the final battle 3 days later, the humans defeated the tyrants without any pressure and won first place. And the gods, whose morale was extremely low after losing 2 of their generals to the humans, lost once again to the insectoids, led by Morichis. The final rankings were the humans first, the tyrants second, the insectoids third, the gods fourth, and the elves fifth. As for the free challenge that Chu Feiyong had proposed, it was left unsettled. At first, the one they wanted to challenge the most was none other than God of Massacre Chun Hao. But after the battle between Chun Hao and Morichis, who would dare to challenge him? They were just asking for humiliation. Chapter 835. The human race obtained 30% of the Emperor Chalcedony region within 100,000 miles. The Emperor Chalcedony was basically hidden in the rocks deep underground. No matter how strong one's soul perception was, it was impossible to sense it. The jade skin that covered it could block all auras. In addition, when the universe collapsed, the entire primitive mystic realm's material was subjected to a terrifying pressure. The degree of hardness was unimaginable. Moreover, the rock layer contained a strong destructive aura. It was extremely difficult for an ordinary Earth celestial stage cultivator to excavate the rock layer to extract the Emperor Chalcedony. If it was easy to excavate, it would not have appeared in the competition for the top 10 galaxies. It would have been completely excavated by the Protoss. Chun Hao and Hu Mainyong argued with each other in front of hundreds of millions of human cultivators. The human cultivators could only stare blankly at them. There was nothing they could do about it. One was the leader of the human race and had many die-hard fans. The other was a killing god who had led the human race to the top. Moreover, he had played a decisive role in taking first place this time. He also had countless die-hard fans. Everyone knew that the two of them were enemies. It would be strange if they did not fight. In the end, AO Tion's members obtained 24% of the human race's share. Hu Mainyong took 3%, Bailey Ningbing took 2%, and Gao Lan, a new member of AO Tion's outer circle, took 1%. The remaining experts who had signed up but did not participate in the competition took 8%. That was 30% of the human race's share. As the leader of the human race, Hu Mainyong took 3% of the remaining 70%. That was to say, she alone received 6%. The rest was divided among the various human armies according to their numbers and combat power. The additional condition was that AO Tion would first pick a 24% area of the human race's share. Even Chun Hao was clueless when it came to selecting missions. He had no idea what was good about them. Even Xiaoji's detection function was useless. He could only leave it to the son of destiny, Lan Feng. Lan Feng drew a circle and circled out 24% of AO Tion's share on the map that Hu Mainyong had created with her mystique. Whether it was good or bad depended on luck. This was even more unreliable than stone gambling on Earth. Stone gambling could be judged based on experience, but the rarity of the Emperor Chalcedony meant that experience was almost zero. No one knew how much Emperor Chalcedony could be mined in each area. Although the human race had obtained 30% of the Emperor Chalcedony, it was only a small area. Which galaxy would mine the most Emperor Chalcedony in the end depended entirely on luck. However, The human race occupied the core area of the Emperor Chalcedony area. If there was no accident, they would have the most Chalcedony. You alone got 6%. Aotion only got 24%. You're lucky. You think I'm the leader of the human race? I can't be bothered to fight you. Otherwise, who knows who the leader would be? Why don't you fight for it? Do you think I want to be the leader? After the distribution was completed, everyone excitedly went to their own areas to mine. However, Chun Hao and Humain Yang were still arguing with each other through voice transmission. Boss, this is the list of people who have signed up to become Proud Heaven's Outer Circle members, as well as their basic information. At this moment, Lan Feng took out a jade slip and handed it to Chun Hao. How many people? Chun Hao took the jade slip and asked casually. This time, Proud Heaven had acquired 24% of the human territory. It would take him at least 1,000 years to mine it all. That was despite the fact that Chun Hao and Chen Shui had the ability to merge with everything in the world. They were still able to mine it all in the blink of an eye. Letting the new members of Proud Heaven work as coolies wasn't a bad idea. For 1,923 people out of 380,000. So many? Not only Chun Hao, but also Pan Long, Du Jing, and the girls asked in surprise. Ahem, ahem. This is the result of Long, Yi, and my careful selection. If we didn't reject them, I'm afraid it would cost millions. Lan Feng said proudly. Long, Yi, and I have temporarily divided them into 38 halls. We still need you, the sisters-in-law, Brother Pan, and Brother Du to decide on the hall leader. Long, Yi, and I have already selected those who are strong and have friendly relations with everyone. As long as they are trustworthy, it is easy to decide. And good job. When they are done mining, we will gather them all. We will decide then. Chen Hao said, since these people were recruited by Lan Feng and Long Yi, they must be the best of the best in the army. Although the area they were assigned to wasn't even close to Proud Heavens, they were still much better off than the average cultivator. It would take some time for them to finish mining. Okay, Wang, Chun Hao said as his mind merged with the jade slip. A moment later, he finished reading the records. With his strong mind, digesting the records was only a matter of seconds. You guys take a look too. Chun Hao handed the jade slip to Pan Long and said, after you finish reading, you can all start working. I'm going to do some private work. Private work? How, you're going to steal? I will go with you. Chen Shui was the first to react. Her face showed a trace of excitement. With his powerful soul force and his mental cultivation method that allowed him to merge with everything in the world, it was definitely not a problem for him to secretly extract some. Big brother, I want to go too. Chun-Ling said excitedly. Chun-Ling mainly cultivated the soul. Once she hid her aura, even Chun Hao would not be able to sense her. Not to mention the others. No need. You won't be able to steal much. Just mine here. I alone will be enough. When the time comes, don't steal more than me. Chun Hao shook his head and smiled. Are you serious? Boss, you are strong, but the Emperor Chalcedony is impossible to detect. Moreover, the profound mysteries of destruction are fused into the rock. It needs to be refined bit by bit before it can be mined. Du Jing said with wide eyes when he heard Chun Hao's words. Even though he said so, he didn't believe that Chun Hao alone could mine as much as all of them. However, Chun Hao's abnormal methods were endless. He really couldn't be sure, especially since Chun Hao said so. He should already have a way. I am leaving. Chun Hao did not answer Du Jing. His aura suddenly disappeared. Then a cold light bloomed. A 3-meter wide hole silently appeared where Chun Hao was. No rocks flew out, no energy waves, not even the slightest sound. However, Du Jing and the others widened their eyes as the hole deepened at an astonishing speed. This. Du Jing's mouth twitched. F***CK. Senior brother is too awesome. Coiling Dragon's eyes widened. Knowing that Chun Hao had such a heaven-defying ability, the girl smiled. Remember to guard our area well. Don't let others steal it. Soon after, Chun Hao's voice came from the void above everyone. Obviously, he had already come out of the cave. If they wanted to steal, they could not dig a hole in their area. Don't worry, boss. No one will dare to touch our things. Coiling Dragon said, Boss, the stealing god race. Do I need you to tell me that? Chapter 836. After Chun Hao left, the members of Proud Heaven spread out, each occupying an area and setting up layers of terrifying seals. Chun Ling's Soul Seal, Chun Shui's Destructive Lightning Will, Helian Wuzi's Chaotic Immortal Aura, Tantai Lian's Hellfire Aura, in addition to the seals set up by hundreds of millions of cultivators in the human race's territory. No one except Chun Hao would be able to enter their territory silently. He was as fast as lightning, but he was like a breeze. The Emperor Jade Marrow region was only 100,000 miles in circumference. To Chun Hao, he could run through it in the blink of an eye. After a few breaths, Chun Hao appeared in the region bordering the human race and the god race. It's not very possible to pass through their seals without being noticed. Chun Hao thought to himself as he sensed the double seals at the border between the human race and the god race. These were all laid down by the combined power of all the cultivators of the various races. They contained hundreds of millions of transformations. If one wanted to pass through them silently, one would have to comprehend the laws of the divine abilities contained in each of the transformations. Chun Hao was not that perverse yet. What a pity. If a myriad of people were to join forces and specially condense a seal for me to comprehend, it would be great. Then I would surely be able to improve my comprehension of the laws of the Heaven Tao greatly in a short period of time. Seals and restrictions represented a connection with the cultivator's mind, and were the most profound mysteries of the law that the cultivator had comprehended. A seal condensed by hundreds of millions of people meant that it was the highest comprehension of the heavenly Tao law. One could imagine the amazing benefits of comprehending such a seal with all one's strength. Unfortunately, this seal was not for people to comprehend. Once touched, it would trigger the killing intent contained in it and alert the cultivator who set up the seal. Shaking his head, Chun Hao, who had already merged with all things in the world, immediately merged into the ground bit by bit. This time, the speed was very slow, but not a single grain of sand or stone changed because of his sinking body, and no cave appeared. This was completely merging his body with all things in the world, becoming a molecule of all things in the world. After using an entire hour, Chun Hao finally arrived at a depth of 30 kilometers below the ground. At this time, whether it was the human race or the god race, the restrictive aura rooted in the ground had completely disappeared. Chun Hao easily passed through the god race's territory, but there was still no mining and there was no big hole. It continued to flow like the rock molecules, constantly moving toward the core of the Protoss. It took them 3 days to travel 2,000 miles. Finally, they arrived at the heart of the god race. Chun Hao's powerful soul perception allowed him to clearly sense that countless god race cultivators were excitedly mining and refining the extremely hard rocks not far from the surface. We'll be able to start work once we go deeper. God race, I will strive to let you obtain the Monarch Jade Marrow above 100,000 feet. Below 100,000 feet, I'm sorry. Chi. After another 1,000 feet, cold light suddenly flashed. In an instant, Chun Hao's surroundings silently became a vast expanse of empty space. The space between his eyebrows shone resplendently. The sword in his hand cut, and huge rocks, which were the raw ores, directly entered between Chun Hao's eyebrows. In order to prevent the god race's territory from collapsing, Chun Hao used the principles of mechanics to mine the space like an exquisitely designed underground world, evenly spaced with pillars that supported the sky. Monarch Jade Marrow. Master, you found a drop so quickly. 2 hours later, Old God's excited voice sounded in Chun Hao's mind. Monarch Jade Marrow. Even Old God, who had followed several powerful masters, could only count the number of times he had seen it on one hand. But now, he had only refined the ores for 2 hours, and he had already obtained a drop. Naturally, he was pleasantly surprised. Only one drop after so long. What are you so excited about? How many blocks of ores did you refine? Just 10,000, 10,000 blocks, and only just? Damn it, it's only one drop. Master, you should be content. A drop of monarch jade marrow can allow a heavenly immortal cultivator to be reborn. What more do you want? Old God, among all my masters, the luckiest one had only obtained 49 drops, and that was at a huge cost. All right, take it easy. If you refine 1,000 drops, don't refine it. Save it. Save it. Master, what's the point of saving it? If you don't refine it, it'll just be a stone. What do you know? The value of not refining it is even greater. You'll understand when the time comes. 1,000 drops is enough for us to use, Chunhao said. Gambling on ores was an extremely popular money-burning industry on Earth, and he was very clear about it. Those who could become rich overnight were extremely rare. Most of them threw money at it. It was a game of thrill and psychology. It was similar to gambling. 9 out of 10 bets lost, but the banker's profits could be maximized. All right. Hearing Chunhao's words, Old God also slowed down. Master, the mineral veins in this are extremely rich. I believe that we can gather the materials for further fusion in no time. My ability can also be improved again. Oh, that's a good thing. Let's get to work. After Chunhao finished speaking casually, he continued to mine quickly. As for Old God's ability, as Chunhao's strength increased, he no longer relied on it as much as before. He also deliberately tried not to rely on Old God. In particular, Old God's failure in the battle with Umanyang made Chunhao believe that it was better to rely on oneself than on others. On the path of cultivation, only oneself was the key. Any external force was, at best, the effect of a catalyst. Carving Heart's Sutra, which was integrated with all things in the world, cut the ore. The vast and boundless brain space carried it. Even without Old God's refining, Chunhao could steal it and make the Protoss vomit blood. After working for 7 days in a row, Chunhao was finally exhausted, and his essence, energy, and spirit were all used up. At this moment, there was a huge underground space that was about 300,000 feet deep and 10,000 feet wide. At a depth of 300,000 feet, the rock has completely changed. That is to say, about 40,000 feet deep from the surface is the area, Chunhao thought to himself as he looked at the rock under his feet that had changed attributes. Without my Carving Heart Sutra, they can only cut with divine ability laws. Moreover, it seems that everyone is refining and cutting at the same time. They don't even think of storing the ore. At this speed, even if the Protoss have hundreds of millions of people, it will take them 10 years to mine to a depth of 10,000 feet, right? And my speed? Chunhao's eyes became extremely excited. Originally, he only wanted to steal some from the Protoss. After all, time did not allow him to steal much. But now, through his divine telekinesis, all the Protoss cultivators were mining and refining at the same time. Their speed was indescribably slow. Moreover, Chunhao originally thought that the ore here might have many changes in its trajectory. In that case, his cutting speed would not be that fast. Chapter 837. But now, Chunhao realized that the change in the Origin Stone was minimal. As he became more familiar with the Origin Stone's path, his cutting speed became faster and faster. I should be able to steal everything within 100,000 miles, right? Ha ha ha. Damn it, Blue Peak was the one who discovered it. Giving you more than 100,000 feet of Origin Stone is already a quarter of it. That's good enough. As for the rest, I won't hold back. Old God, how many drops? My refining speed has slowed down, and my luck is bad. Only 23 drops. Old God said, Oh, take 10 drops first. Let me have a taste. 10 drops. Have a taste? All right. Old God was speechless when he heard that, but then he realized that it was only 10 drops. Chunhao could absorb them all at once. It was just a waste, but it didn't seem like a big deal. He couldn't judge this new master of his with the attitude of the previous poor masters. Old God, when refining in the future, follow the order of where I extracted them, and see if there's a pattern to where the monarch chalcedony appears. Chunhao looked at the 10 drops of monarch chalcedony floating in front of him. They were crystal clear and contained mysterious and terrifying energy. After swallowing them, he instructed Old God. Boom! The moment he entered his mouth, the 10 drops of monarch chalcedony suddenly exploded. In an instant, both his mind and body reacted in a way that shocked Chun Hao, especially the cells in his body, which began to change before Chun Hao could react. As expected of a supreme-grade sage elixir, it's too heaven-defying. 10 drops weren't even enough to fill the gaps between his teeth, but the energy in each drop was comparable to that of a peak late-stage heavenly immortal. Moreover, it was the energy of a peerless genius cultivator. However, it was pure and had no attributes. It contained endless mysteries. Before he started refining, his depleted essence, energy, and spirit were instantly restored to their full state. 1 drop can make a heavenly immortal expert reborn. It's not an exaggeration. Fortunately, I set up a seal. Otherwise, this aura would have been exposed. After a brief moment of surprise, Chun Hao immersed himself in refining and absorbing the energy. The primary outline of the great Tao in his mind rumbled, and the immortal light on his spiritual altar bloomed. His flesh and blood cells opened up, and his meridians trembled. His true essence surged like the rolling waters of the Yangtze River. It took a full 10 days for the medicinal effects of the 10 drops of monarch chalcedony to completely fuse into Chun Hao's cells and meridians. A powerful feeling that he had never felt before filled Chun Hao's heart. 10 drops. I've been reborn, and my body has been cleansed. My body's strength have definitely doubled. If it was used on an ordinary cultivator, the effect would definitely be stronger, right? Chun Hao's fleshly body and strength could be said to be the limit of a heavenly, immortal expert. Even the average Daoyuo Jingxian might not necessarily be stronger than him. Under normal circumstances, even if it was an ancient saint-grade elixir, it would not be very effective for him. But even the Emperor Chalcedony was so effective for him. We've been delayed for 10 days. Let's do it. Chi. With a flash of cold light, Chun Hao began to work even harder. The Protoss are done. Next, the Zergs. In just 3 months, except for a few places where the mining speed was fast and the cultivators were assigned to a small area, the rest of the underground space had been emptied by Chun Hao. This benefited some of the cultivators. There was no other way. To prevent them from discovering him in advance, Chun Hao could only do this. Fortunately, the number of such cultivators was very small. Not even 1/10 of them. 20% of the Zerg share. I estimate it will take 4 months, with his powerful soul perception. The situation of all the cultivators who were excavating could not escape Chun Hao's senses. Those that should be avoided were avoided, and those that should be abandoned were abandoned. As long as they could not reach a depth of 10,000 feet within 2 years, Chun Hao would sweep them clean. 2 years' time was enough for Chun Hao to ransack all 5 major galaxies, including the human race. Moreover, the human race would definitely be the first to jump out and cry bad luck. This way, no one would suspect that someone was up to no good. Otherwise, it would be too obvious that the 4 major races had found the underground world, but not the human race. At that time, once the 4 major races united and launched a war against the human race, no matter how fierce Chun Hao was, the human race would not be able to withstand it. How? Big brother, senior brother, you're back? Boss, how's the harvest? 1 year and 11 months later, Chun Hao's aura suddenly appeared in the sky above the proud heaven area. Immediately, Chan Shui, Helian Wuzi, Long Ting, and the other girls, as well as Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the others, all came at Chun Hao's side as fast as lightning. In the distance, Hu Meinyang's divine consciousness also floated over. You've been away for nearly 2 years. Don't tell me you went out for closed-door cultivation. Hu Meinyang's voice directly appeared in Chun Hao's mind. In these 2 years, although Hu Meinyang had been mining the Emperor Chalcedony, she had always been paying attention to the movements of the proud heaven members and the god of slaughter Chun Hao. Chun Hao's body, condensed by the law of divine powers, could be hidden from others, but could not be hidden from Hu Meinyang, who had been dual cultivating with him for decades. However, Hu Meinyang did not have Chun Hao's powerful concealment ability. Although she could roughly guess what Chun Hao had done, she could only envy him. If I'm not harvesting your Emperor Chalcedony, why are you worrying about me? How much did you steal? If there's no benefit, I won't be able to keep my mouth shut. Damn it, I'll find you later. Chi. What made Hu Meinyang so angry that she stomped her feet was that Chun Hao had cut off her divine consciousness and condensed a powerful seal around himself and the proud heaven members. Fortunately, Chun Hao had told her that he would find her later, so she did not flip out. None of you have taken the Emperor Chalcedony? Chun Hao looked at everyone, a little puzzled. Senior brother, if you're not here, how can we take it first? Besides, the mining and refining speed is a little too slow. If it's just a few of us, I'm afraid it'll take us a few thousand years to refine everything. Panlong said, sharpening the axe won't delay the work of cutting firewood. Just take it. What are you waiting for me for? I've already taken over 100 drops. Are you serious? Cough, cough. Boss, isn't it a little too wasteful? I've only refined over 100 drops in 2 years. The most is Lan Feng, that lucky bastard who has 500 drops. Good luck, good luck. Lan Feng said smugly. Damn it, I've only taken 13 drops. Those 2 lucky bastards. Panlong said gloomily. The difference is that big? Chen Hao said, a little surprised. Apart from Lan Feng and Du Jing, the rest of us have less than 30 drops on average. Panlong has the worst luck. Chun Shui said, the mining and refining speed can't be fast, and there's no pattern to it either. Why did you spend so much time refining the origin stones and come back so quickly? Chapter 838. Haha, I didn't waste any time. Now that I'm back, I've naturally completed my mission. You'll know what's going on in about a month. Chun Hao said with a smile. Big brother, you didn't rob the god race clean, did you? Chun Ling couldn't help but ask. Everyone was also excited. They had seen Chun Hao's ability to collect origin stones in large holes and could naturally guess a thing or two. How can that be? They've left everything above 100,000 feet. At most, it's not even 3/4. Don't refine it. Keep it after you've extracted it. Senior brother, we're not as capable as you and sister-in-law Xiao Shui. The extraction speed is not much faster than refining it directly. With the hardness of this rock, the energy required to cut it open is about the same as refining it directly. It's better to just refine it directly, Coiling Dragon said. Although Chun Shui's cultivation level couldn't compare to Chun Hao's, it was still quite impressive. However, Chun Hao had previously told her not to use it. Therefore, Chun Shui had been refining it for the past 2 years. That's true. Then forget it. Continue refining it slowly. I'll go out for a walk again. Divide the Emperor Jade marrow you've refined and consume it. We don't lack this stuff. All right, Lan Feng. Don't, Brother Pan. Boss has spoken. I'll definitely give it to you. Don't fight. Du Jing, get out of my way. You've got more than 100 drops. What are you doing? Brother Pan, am I that kind of person? I'll snatch it from the sisters-in-law. Don't fight over it. Depending on the individual situation, they would use as much as they could refine. I'll go first. When Chun Hao finished speaking, his true body merged into heaven and earth again. You want to steal from the god race? How much did you steal? When Chun Hao appeared beside Hu Meinyang went straight to the point and asked, how much can I steal in 2 years? You've already taken 6% of a human race. Aren't you satisfied? Chun Hao said, how many people are in my army? Aren't you going to share it with them? How many people do you have? Forget it. I'm just saying, don't be so petty. Hu Meinyang raised her chin and glared at Chun Hao, speaking in a rather charming manner. Even she herself did not realize that she had fallen into a subtle state of mind while interacting with Chun Hao. Chun Hao had secretly gone out for 2 years. He had just returned and came to see her. Moreover, he was alone with her. She was very pleased with herself. Stingy? All right, I'll give you 1,000 drops of Emperor Chalcedony. All right? 1,000 drops? What? You think it's too little? Then forget about the 2,000 drops. Are you trying to tease me? Are you really willing to give me so much? Chi. As soon as Yang finished speaking, the space between Chunhao's brows suddenly emitted a resplendent light, and immediately after, a sparkling and translucent emperor jade marrow floated in front of Yang's eyes, causing Yang's eyes to widen. She simply couldn't believe that this was real, and her beautiful face couldn't help but flush red. This guy is tough on the outside, but soft on the inside. Could it be that he has already deeply fallen for me? Yang's heart trembled slightly. Although this feeling was very strange and completely exceeded her understanding of Chunhao, the 2,000 drops of Emperor Jade Marrow were right in front of her. Moreover, Chunhao did not protect them. It seemed like he was really going to give them to her. Is this enough? Chunhao said coldly. Forget it. I'm not such a greedy person. You should keep them and take care of your cultivation partner. I don't want someone to fight me to the death. Tiskith, is this still the holy maiden who? My woman is not so petty. Besides, I'm just giving you hush money. They just think it's a little too much. At most, they will think that you and I are having an affair. Can you be any more shameless? Fine, I'll keep them. You don't know what's good for you. Chi, Yang said angrily. As she spoke, the space between her brows emitted energy, and the 2,000 drops of Emperor Jade Marrow were stored in her mind. It's good that you're keeping them. If you're exposed, don't say anything. Chunhao said with a smile. I'm just scaring you. What does it have to do with me that you stole all the celestials? 2,000 Emperor Jade Marrow. How generous. You can leave now. I still need to refine them. Goodbye. Remember what you said. We're even. When the time comes, don't ask me for hush money. Shut up. I won't see you out. Seeing Chunhao disappear, Yang's lips curled into a smug smile. Stubborn fellow. He's already fallen for me, but he's still so stubborn. No, I'm so happy. Do I still have to cut him off? Yang frowned slightly. She seemed to be in a dilemma. After a few minutes, her eyes flashed, and she shook her head lightly. He's deeper than me. He's the one who's fallen for me. I have the advantage. There's no need to cut him off. This feels good. Feels good. Be happy for now. There'll be time for you to cry. Ha ha. What Yang didn't know was that when Chunhao left, the cold and emotionless fellow was laughing in his heart. It was only 2,000 Emperor Jade Marrow. What kind of hush money was that? Could Chunhao not tell that Yang was just joking? No matter what, she couldn't reveal that Chunhao had stolen from the Celestials. Most importantly, Chunhao hadn't just stolen the divine race's ores. Within Yang's territory, the vast underground space beneath 30,000 feet had also been transformed. 2,000 ores were probably not even a fraction of Yang's ores. Oh no. A month later, a cultivator in one of the human legions rose into the air in horror and let out a cry that reverberated through the heavens. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless cultivators rose into the air. What's going on? What's all the fuss about? Commander, underground. There's a huge underground space underground. There are no more monarch chalcedony veins at the depth of 100,000 feet. What? How big is it? It's huge. Anyway, our territory is empty. It's like an underground world formed by an ancient almighty. Commander, go down and take a look. My divine telekinesis sensed that it's the same for thousands of miles. It's not just the human race. It's the same for the other races. The first cultivator to reach a depth of 10,000 feet said in shock. Like a bird with wings, the news spread throughout the human race in just a moment. Yang, killing god Chunhao, and other experts entered the area that the cultivators had formed. They were all shocked. Not long after, the cultivators of the Celestials, the Bug Clan, the Tyrants, and the Elf Clan all discovered the problem. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Without the Emperor Jade Marrow veins blocking the underground space, divine telekinesis was unimpeded. Four geniuses like Niefan and Morris, they could explore 100,000 miles with their divine telekinesis in an instant. Chapter 839. What a terrifying power! such hard rocks, yet such a huge underground world was dug out. How powerful must one's divine ability be to do this? It's unimaginable, especially since the surface is so smooth and flat. I'm afraid only an expert from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm could do this. Not necessarily. This underground world must have been built before the collapse of the universe. At that time, the rocks here were not compressed by the collapse of the universe and did not contain any destructive aura. It should be much easier to excavate. It's a pity that this place is so deep in the Monarch Chalcedony region. I think this place must have been rich in Monarch Chalcedony back then, which is why this underground world was excavated. That's not right. If this place existed before the collapse of the universe, how could there be no damage at all when the energy was compressed? Look, there's not even a speck of dust in this space. That's not possible, right? What's wrong with that? The entire space is sealed. Furthermore, the rocks here must have been extremely hard back then. It's normal for there to be no damage or dust. Countless cultivators from the 5 major galaxies surged into the underground space and exclaimed in shock at this extravagant work. No one would have thought that such a huge underground world was created now. Even the top experts did not detect anything strange. This was beyond Chun Hao's expectations. Of course, this was also because Chun Hao's carving technique was too powerful. Wherever he cut, there was no aura left behind. 30,000 feet deep. I think the Monarch Chalcedony was not formed in the space above before the collapse of the universe. Otherwise, we would not have a share. It would have been excavated long ago. What a pity. If no one had discovered it back then, we would have really struck it rich. If this underground space was not excavated, there would definitely be more Monarch Chalcedony in it now. Besides, based on the current situation, it's almost impossible for everyone to get a drop of Monarch Chalcedony. In the underground space, Chun Hao released his consciousness and captured the discussions of countless cultivators. He was very happy. It seems that integrating the ancient aura from countless treasures into the surface is very useful. No one noticed it. Not even her. Damn it. Isn't this a waste of 2,000 Monarch Chalcedony? Chun Hao glanced at Hu Meinyang, who was not far away. He realized that there was nothing special about her expression other than pity. Clearly, she had not discovered anything wrong with this underground space. Fortunately, they were all discovered at the same time. Otherwise, wouldn't those who entered this underground space earlier be able to secretly mine the other galaxies? That's right. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have worked together to dig the hole. When the cultivators of the 5 major galaxies thought of this, Hu Meinyang, Nie Fan, and the other leaders of the 5 major galaxies called upon their respective cultivators to join forces and lay down powerful seals in their respective areas. Miss Mo Li, the extraction and refinement of the Emperor Chalcedony will take at least 10 years. What do you think? In front of the seal, Lucinia of the Protoss race sensed Morichis of the insectoid race and finally could not help but take the lead to send a voice transmission. 3 days from now, 10 million li to the east. Morris hesitated for a moment before replying. She had long since grown tired of the laborious work of extracting and refining the Emperor Jade Marrow. However, the 5 major star systems all had powerful seals. Without an agreement, if she tried to contact the other party, she would definitely be discovered. Now that she had the chance, even if Lucinia didn't take the initiative to send her a message, she had to take the initiative. Therefore, the two of them hit it off. That's strange. While Hu Meinyang was shocked and regretful, she noticed that Chun Hao only frowned and did not have any other special reaction. Logically speaking, the Emperor Jade Marrow had suddenly become 10,000 feet deep, which was much less than expected. However, Chun Hao had given her 2,000 pieces of Emperor Jade Marrow. Although this amount was not much compared to the area owned by Proud Heaven, it was still a little too much. Why did he not regret it all? Was he that good to her? Hu Meinyang was narcissistic, but not to this extent, especially when she saw the strange expressions on the faces of the Proud Heaven members. And when they looked at Chun Hao from time to time, she vaguely felt that something was wrong, but she could not figure it out. Is there a problem with this underground space? Could it be? That's not very possible. Humain Yang immediately denied her own thoughts. No matter how crazy Chun Hao was, it was impossible for him to extract such a huge underground space in just 2 years. Moreover, it covered the entire Emperor Jade Marrow area. Not to mention Chun Hao. Even the Supreme of Hongmeng would not be able to do it. After 2 years of refining, she knew how hard this rock was. He must be hiding something from me. But since he has already given me 2,000 pieces of Emperor Jade Marrow, there is no reason for him to ask me for more. Maybe he is really that good to me. Although Humain Yang felt that something was not right, she did not want to think too much about it. In the end, it was all thanks to Chun Hao again. She left happily. I'm going out to train. You all continue to mine and refine. Do not slack off. You all have seen the situation now. Whether you can get a drop of Emperor Jade Marrow or not will depend on your luck. The more you refine, the higher your chances of getting it. Do you understand? Queen Mori, don't worry. Don't worry. Even if I can't get the Emperor Jade Marrow, I will reward you according to your contributions. Also, if anyone dares to swallow the Emperor Jade Marrow without permission, don't blame me for not showing mercy. I have left a lot of divine will. Swoosh. After he finished speaking, he flew into the sky and passed through the insectoid race's restrictive seal, disappearing into the void. Almost at the same time, Lu Qinya of the celestial race also gathered the army leaders who followed him and did the same thing as Mori. He left again? Humain Yang frowned when she sensed that Chun Hao had left another body behind. During this period of time, Humain Yang's sole perception had been secretly probing Proud Heaven's members and Chun Hao's movements. Unfortunately, she did not find anything. Is he going to steal again? Suddenly, Humain Yang's eyes lit up as if she had thought of something. She disappeared from where she was standing. Miss Hu, hello, Miss Hu. Miss Hu, what can I do for you? After a while, Humain Yang's figure appeared at the border between the human and celestial race. Countless cultivators greeted her excitedly when they saw her. Humain Yang released her divine will to sense all the cultivators who were mining and refining the Emperor Jade Marrow. After a few hours, Humain Yang's eyes became more and more shocked. Nothing. There's no trace at all. Every cultivator corresponds to a place. If he wanted to enter the celestial race, he must have dug a deep underground cave. He should have discovered the underground space long ago. Did he sneak in from somewhere else? What are you looking for? Ah, Yu Qi. Humain Yang retreated 100 feet and stared at Chun Hao, who had suddenly appeared beside her and whispered into her ear. She was even more shocked. Do you want to die? You scared me. Haha, you know fear too? Don't keep staring at me. I've already given you 2,000 Emperor Jade Marrow. What else do you want? Are you hiding something from me? Chapter 840. You're not related to me. It's normal for you to hide things from me. Why? Do you think you're related to me? Do you want to meddle in my affairs? Bah, nothing good comes out of filthy mouth. Don't let me find out what you've done to me. Otherwise, I won't forgive you. Haha, do you really want to know? Of course. Then come with me. Kill 2 people, and I'll tell you. Swish. Chun Hao went directly to Humain Yang's side. He reached out and grabbed Humain Yang, who was frowning slightly. Immediately, a mysterious aura flowed directly from Chun Hao's forehead into Humain Yang's. What are you doing? Who are you killing? Cut the crap if you want to know. Enter my state. Swish. The next moment, the 2 of them silently disappeared from the human territory. Beep, beep, beep. Master. A moment later, Chun Hao entered Huaxia No. 1 with Humain Yang. Xiaoji's voice was full of human emotions and a hint of excitement. Xiaoji, are you sure the 2 of them left in the same direction? Yes. Master, they came out almost at the same time and headed east. They're tens of thousands of miles away from here. They've already met up. Master, please look at the scene replay. Hiss. Following Xiaoji's voice, the scene simulation system was instantly activated. Immediately, under Humain Yang's shocked gaze, Morpheus and Lu Qinya appeared in front of her and Chun Hao. Although Humain Yang had already entered Chun Hao's miniature aircraft, she was still shocked by the ability of Xiaoji No. 1. Tens of thousands of miles away, It could actually lock onto the other party. Not only could it lock onto the other party, but it could also record the scene as if it was happening right in front of her eyes. More importantly, Hu Meinyang could not grasp the mystery of it at all. This was too exaggerated. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would not have believed it. Queen Morpheus, I knew you would cooperate with me. On a mountain peak, Lucinia of the Protoss race smiled and stared at Morpheus. Her eyes were full of confidence. That depends on whether you have the capital to cooperate with me. Ha ha chi, chi. Along with Lucinia's laughter, a dazzling and mysterious fluctuation suddenly surged around him. His long hair fluttered, his clothes fluttered, and even the surrounding heaven and earth energy surged. Is that enough? He actually hit it so deeply? She's just so. Although she's not as good as Miss Emoli, she's about the same, right? Tell me your conditions, Morris said straightforwardly. As the scene before her changed, Hu Meinyang frowned in shock. The more she listened, the more shocked she became. As for Chun Hao, his expression was even more unsightly. His eyes flashed with a strong, killing intent, and even the slaughter will naturally flashed in between his eyebrows. F***CK. This adulterous couple was actually so vicious. Fortunately, I asked Xiaoji and the rest to monitor the entire area. Otherwise, there really might have been a problem. I've long known that Lucinia might not be simple, but I didn't expect him to be so scheming. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit core, the strongest physique of the Protoss race. If he really obtains the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core, he will be able to make up for his natural defects. He will be able to use the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core to display powerful aboriginal laws. At that time, even you and I will find it difficult to fight against him, Hu Meinyang said. As the scene changed, Xiaoji simulated the voices of the two according to the shape of their mouths. Hu Meinyang and Chun Hao were shocked when they heard it. Lucinia actually had the strongest physique of the Protoss race, the Godly King physique. The Godly King physique contained the purest bloodline origin of the Protoss race's true god ancestors. Once he grew to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, he would awaken the unparalleled power of the ancient true gods. Who in the world would be able to defeat him? He would not dare to say that he could dominate the universe, but in the godly realm of the Protoss race, he would definitely be a top existence. He was definitely the strongest genius of the Protoss race, and there was no other. Nonsense, when he gets the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core, I'll definitely be dead. Chun Hao said, one is the strongest genius of the Protoss race, and the other is the unprecedented mother body of the insect race. With the combination of the two, and with Lucinia's essence and blood as the foundation, the insect soldiers cultivated would be 100 times more powerful. I'm afraid that the individual combat power of the soldiers would not be comparable to that of an ordinary heavenly immortal. If Morichis obtains the essence of your body, how powerful would he be? F***CK. Can't you say something nicer? Curse me to be divided? I'm just stating facts. Say something nicer. Now, you're the one who's asking for my help. They didn't say anything about targeting. Before Hu Meinyang could finish her sentence, she suddenly shut up. Her expression was no better than Chun Hao's. You just got the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core? I'm afraid it's not that simple. The Godly King physique has not been seen in the Protoss race for thousands of years. If it's just this little ambition, do you think I'll believe it? Ha! Miss Mo Li is indeed astute. Indeed, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core is only one condition for me to help you cultivate the strongest insect soldiers through dual cultivation. Another condition is that you help me subdue Hu Meinyang with the connate Taoist fetus. The fruit core and the Taoist fetus primordialine body will definitely be much more effective. Of course, you'll have to use your Protoss combat power to refine insect soldiers to help me tame her into my slave. All right. However, I have an additional condition. Speak. Killing God Chun Hao is indeed the man I want the most, but I also like the members of Proud Heaven. Coiling Dragon's primordial beast bloodline and Du Jing's unparalleled poison arts are not bad. Just a side dish. No problem. Haha. Chun Hao looked at Yang's angry expression and guffawed. What are you laughing at? Taking the holy maiden who is my slave? TSK, it feels pretty good. Haha. Chun Hao guffawed, his gaze sweeping over Yang's lithe and seductive body. You shameless. Stay away from me. We're both in the same boat. It's only right that we get closer to each other. Yang? Scram. At this moment, the scene in Xiaoji's simulation suddenly changed. Oh, harder. You're the divine king, aren't you? Can't you put away your snake head? Who would be in the mood when they're eyeing us covetously? How dare you despise me? We're of different races. Our sexual preferences differ. This is pure intercourse. Of course I'm in the mood. F***CK. Xiaoji stopped. When Xiaoji finished playing the simulation and switched to the real scene, not only Yang, but even Chun Hao couldn't hold back. Master, it's pixelated. Is it okay? To Chun Hao's dismay, Xiaoji actually asked such a question. Damn it, what's there to see between two disgusting things? That's true. If it's Master and the holy maiden who, it'll be better. You. Do you believe that I won't strangle you to death? At the beginning of the month, I'm looking for votes. Thank you. Chapter 841. I'd better monitor it myself, hiss. Xiaoji's simulated body suddenly shrank back, stuck out its tongue cutely, and turned into a stream of light, disappearing along with the simulated scene. Yang's face was flushed red, and she was so angry that her teeth itched. The aircraft concealed its aura and shuttled through the void at an astonishing speed. For Xiaoji 1, which had been modified several times, a distance of tens of millions of miles was just a matter of minutes. You've really been blinded by victory. Fighting the beasts in broad daylight. Such a shameless thing. And you didn't even condense the seal. Why do you look so excited, as if you can't wait to replace them? Hey, you've noticed? We're indeed a little excited to replace them. What about you? Do you feel anything? Faced with Yang's sarcasm, Chun Hao stared at Yang with a straight face. Shameless. Can't you use another word? You're so unromantic. All right, enough joking. Let's merge. Merge for what? Let's just kill them and catch them off guard. Yang said. Even if they're caught off guard with your concealment skills, you won't be able to kill them silently. Don't forget, this place is only tens of millions of miles away from the Emperor Conceited area. Once you cause a big disturbance, you'll be discovered, and it'll turn into a galactic war, and there'll be no end to it. Chun Hao said, This time, I'll let you experience my strongest concealment skill. As Chun Hao spoke, he suddenly approached Yang. What are you doing? Yang was shocked, and she quickly turned her head to avoid Chun Hao's sudden attack. Connect the celestial bridge and form a true small circulation. Only then can I completely conceal your aura, and they won't be able to sense you within 100 feet. Of course, it'll be better if it's a big circulation. Big circulation. Do you think I'm a retarded girl? Dream on. Then it'll be a small circulation. You want to take advantage of me, and you're still so self-righteous, bah. F***CK. It's not like I haven't taken advantage of you before. Why are you still pretending? Do you think I want to be intimate with you? I'm the one who's losing. Without the celestial bridge, you won't be able to merge with my concealment skill. Within 1,000 feet, they'll be alerted. Who are you trying to fool? Connecting the heaven and earth bridge with divine will and true essence is a simple matter. What do you know? My concealment technique is to restrain all true yuan and divine sense and completely blend into the world, becoming one with the life patterns of all things in the world. Do you do it or not? As Chun Hao spoke, his entire aura suddenly disappeared without a trace. Even Yang, who was just a few feet away from him, could no longer sense him. Before Yang could reply, she felt her mouth being sealed. Yang glared at Huang Xiaolong and wanted to resist, but she quickly suppressed the urge and transmitted her voice to Huang Xiaolong. Humph, I'll let you off this time. However, he clenched his teeth and blocked Chun Hao's attack. However, although she said that she was powerful and controlled her heartbeat and breathing to be normal, deep in her heart, only she knew. Your mind is one with me, completely integrated into my state of mind, moving according to my will. Qi. Chunhao's tongue suddenly exerted force and broke through Hu Meinyang's weak defense. Instantly, their tongues touched, and Chunhao pulled Hu Meinyang's graceful body into his embrace. Damn it, you arrogant rouge horse. Aren't you still easily taken advantage of by me? It feels good. Your disguise is good, but if you don't resist, you'll betray your heart. If you continue to move and touch, I'd rather have a big fight. Hurry up and start. Hu Meinyang transmitted her voice coldly. At the same time, she clenched her teeth and bit down hard on Chunhao's tongue that was full of teasing. F***CK. Are you going to bite me off? The intense pain made Chunhao, who was feeling proud of himself, angry. At this moment, he didn't activate any true yuan. His body had already merged with all things in the world. Who told you to move? Start now. Hu Meinyang transmitted her voice and released Chunhao at the same time. Buzz. Immediately, Chunhao and Hu Meinyang's essence, qi, and spirit suddenly formed a small cycle between the two of them through the bridge of heaven and earth. In an instant, their minds also merged together. Hu Meinyang's mind moved with Chunhao's mind. In an instant, she clearly felt that her essence, qi, spirit, true yuan, and divine thought had completely disappeared. Her whole body was filled with an extremely subtle feeling. This feeling was completely different from her great Tao unification. It was as if she had merged with the air and everything in the world. She could feel the breathing and pulse of nature, and her body was completely in tune with the surroundings. No wonder his concealment technique is so powerful. This secret art is really too heaven-defying. Don't be distracted. It's not enough yet. Don't think about comprehending it. Just feel it. This is not something you can comprehend. If you can comprehend it, do you think I'm worse than you? This is something that can only be comprehended when the spiritual root is just born and starts cultivating. You've already missed your chance. Otherwise, Xiao Shui and I won't be the only members of Proud Heaven. Chunhao said, there's nothing absolute in this world. If you dare to teach me the Heart Sutra, I'll show you. If you dare to circulate with me, I don't mind teaching you. Stop dreaming. Continue to drool over me. If you don't teach me, I don't care. I'm just a little interested in your innate Taoist embryo. As for you, I'm not interested. You don't mean what you say? Keep pretending. Damn it. It's up to you to believe it or not. Don't talk nonsense. Throw away all your distracting thoughts, and don't comprehend it. Follow me and move. What's the hurry? Maybe it won't take long for me to comprehend it. That way, we'll be able to cooperate better. Hu Meinyang said firmly, if you think it's too slow, teach me the Heart Sutra, and I'll cooperate with you immediately. Don't you know that women like you are very annoying? I'm just like that. I'm not forcing you to like me. F***CK. I'll teach you if you don't believe me. If you can comprehend it, I'll change my surname to yours. Qi. A milky white light shot out from between Chunhao's eyebrows, and he imparted the first stage of the Heart Sutra to Hu Meinyang. He wasn't lying. In his opinion, Hu Meinyang's spiritual root had already formed the spiritual altar. It was impossible for her to comprehend the Heart Sutra. That's more like it. Hu Hao, you're set. Why does it sound so familiar? You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. If you can't comprehend it, you'll change your surname to mine. Don't waste time, let's start. Okay. Immediately, when Hu Meinyang focused completely on following Chunhao's mind, her aura completely disappeared in an instant. At the same time, Hu Meinyang felt like an imperceptible breeze that floated out of the aircraft. Chapter 842. What a familiar feeling. The lingering thought rippled in Hu Meinyang's heart. Even though she had entered the state of emptiness, she still couldn't get rid of this strange feeling. Somehow, there seemed to be some kind of connection with this carving technique, but it clearly didn't exist in her memory. This strange feeling was like a chance encounter in her previous life. At a certain time, at a certain place, she saw a strange but familiar person doing something familiar. It seemed like it happened in the past, but also seemed like it happened in the future. In a trance, it was like the enlightenment of the root of Buddhism. Puff, puff. Ah, oh, harder. That's more like a man. Ah, the high-frequency charming sound of charging and breaking through enemy lines, accompanied by the lewd moans of Morris, made the top of the barren mountain overflow with a sense of spring, charming and gentle. Under Morris's moans, Lucinya's beast blood was boiling as he bravely and fiercely charged forward, tireless. Morris, who had completely transformed into a human, was indeed extremely enchanting, whether it was her figure or appearance. Coupled with this kind of lewd moans, it made Lucinia more and more excited. This was the most primitive throbbing. Both of them didn't use a trace of energy purely to create the origin of the insect soldiers. This female insect is really lewd. She looks a little older than you. Shameless. Rogue. Pervert. Haha. You know how to change your words? This time it's a bit interesting. Look at these two, they're like pigs. Just this one action. Are you trying to expose yourself? Don't make me angry. Although I don't want to admit it, your talent is really good. I know what I'm doing. When they climax, you and I will attack at the same time and let them wither eternally in the climax. Don't move. Feeling the teasing of Chun Hao's tongue, whom Mainyang reprimanded him in her mind. You're not a statue. Let me teach you a secret art now. Secret art? What's secret art? Faced with a shameless fellow like Chun Hao, who Mainyang could only temporarily endure and selectively ignore Chun Hao's attack. Although she would never compromise or admit to it, she had to admit that this feeling was the best she had ever felt. Love between a man and a woman was one of the most wonderful feelings of human beings. Although the holy maiden would never have a Taoist companion in her life, nor would she become a vassal of any man, she did not have to be a nun for the rest of her life. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a thing as Tao Protector. Kissing technique. Your trembling has already betrayed your heart. Since you don't want to resist, then close your eyes and enjoy it. Move with me. You don't push your luck. Otherwise, I will break away from you right now. Not only did Chun Hao attack her with his mouth, but his large hand, which was on whom Mainyang's slender waist, slid down to whom Mainyang's plump buttocks. Not only that, but he also attacked her inner thighs, this time, whom Mainyang was really angry. Forget it. I've overestimated your willpower. Chun Hao felt smug as heart. Sure enough, when you went straight for the watermelon and went back to pick up the sesame seeds, the other party would not resist fiercely. Otherwise, Chun Hao's attack with his tongue would not have succeeded. No matter how smart Hu Mainyang was, she was still too inexperienced to play such a game with someone like Chun Hao. Oh, thud, thud. Ah. After more than 10 minutes, Lucinia suddenly let out a low moan, and her body began to crazily rush forward as if she had cramps. At the same time, Morris's moans became sharp and high-pitched as he used all his strength to grab Lucinia's back. Get ready. The two people who were about to reach the peak of their desires would never have thought that the god of death had already arrived within 100 feet of them. Damn it. Hold it in your stomach and die. Whoosh, whoosh. An incomparably sharp cold light suddenly bloomed. Almost at the same time, Hu Mainyang, who had her back facing the two people, did not even turn around. She also released a sword light that was no less sharp than Chun Hao's sword light. Oh, thud. Immediately, the two people who were just a few milliseconds away from reaching the peak of their desires were still moaning at the top of their lungs. Maurice, this slut, crazily clamped her legs together and stretched her delicate body backward, preparing to welcome the essence of the thousands of insect soldiers with the strongest bloodline of the Protoss. At the same time, two sword lights appeared at the speed of lightning. At this critical moment, although the two of them were not prepared at all, the sharp reaction of the monstrous geniuses still made them instantly alert. The hair-raising threat of death made them frantically gather their energy, but they reacted quickly. Unfortunately, before they could gather their energy to form an effective defense, the two swords pierced through their foreheads at the same time. At the moment when the majestic and terrifying energy detonated their soul dwellings, they saw two figures, the god of slaughter Chun Hao and the saintess Hu Meinyang. Amidst boundless fear, convulsions, and impotence, the two people's minds fell into endless darkness with two explosions. The Zerg Queen Maurice and the Protoss Lu Qinya had fallen. Whoosh, seal! Seal! When the two people's soul dwellings exploded and their bodies and souls were destroyed, countless ancient treasures, precious spiritual herbs, and thousands of crystal-clear Emperor chalcedony floated out. Seeing this scene, Chun Hao and Hu Meinyang did not hesitate at all. They released terrifying runes at the same time, directly sealing the area within a radius of 10,000 miles. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately, the two people attacked at the same time, sealing each other. Insidious. Likewise. Whoosh! 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 Seeing that the other party was guarding against them, Chun Hao and Hu Meinyang did not stop. They directly stretched out their claws into the void, and huge hands that covered the sky immediately sucked the ancient treasures, precious spiritual herbs, and Emperor chalcedony floating in the air toward them. They were evenly matched, and neither of them snatched less. Deal with their corpses. After snatching, Hu Meinyang still did not look at Morris's headless body that had turned into a giant python, and Lu Qinya's headless body that looked exactly like a human. What's there to deal with the corpses? They're naked together. It's just that Lu Qinya is a little too small. She doesn't match this giant python at all. Can you not be so disgusting? I'm just telling the truth. Don't pretend to be innocent in front of me. It's not like I'll lose anything just by looking. They're just dead people. Get lost. One of their corpses contains the bloodline of the Divine King, and the other has the strongest bloodline of the Zerg clan. Before their vitality dissipates, condense them into blood essence pills. Perhaps we can learn something from them. Also, we could disguise ourselves as them. Huh? Disguise ourselves as them? You mean, it's a waste. Maurice is the leader of the Zerg clan, and her share will definitely not be much less than mine. Lu Qinya's share will not be less as well. It's only been 2 years since they started mining. There will definitely be more left. Chapter 843. How cruel! A woman's heart is the most vicious. I didn't expect that. I'll do it. Chi, 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 chi. 2 beams of light shot out from between Chun Hao's brows, and the corpses of Lu Qinya and Maurice disappeared into his mind. You want to take it all for yourself? Do you think I'm that kind of person? Don't worry, I'll give you 30%. Why should I take 30%? You won't be able to disguise yourself. Come with me, and you might be able to disguise yourself. The more you work, the more you get. You think 30% is too little? Chun Hao glared at Hu Meinyang. Disguising his bloodline aura was no problem, but Hu Meinyang's primordialine body could not be concealed. I don't want it. Chi. To Chun Hao's surprise, Hu Meinyang's lips twitched as she said that. Then, she flew into the air. Her speed was astonishing. She's angry? Chun Hao rubbed his chin. He did not chase after her immediately. Instead, he waved his hand, and Xiaoji number 1 flew toward him. Hey, Holy Virgin Hu? Xiaoji number 1 caught up with Hu Meinyang in a moment. Chun Hao stood at the entrance of the aircraft and called out to Hu Meinyang with a smile. Chi. Hu Meinyang's expression was cold as she turned around. You look pretty when you're angry. Chi. Hu Meinyang turned around again. Hello. Holy Virgin Hu, have you ever cried? I think you look better when you cry. Get lost. If you continue to follow me, don't blame me for attacking you. Hu Meinyang said angrily. Her aura surged as she glared at Chun Hao. Then, she turned around again. All right, I'll give you 31%. Get lost. Chi. An incomparably swift and fierce sword light suddenly shot towards this shameless fellow, Chun Hao. Boom! Xiaoji number 1 suddenly spat out a long tail and traveled thousands of miles in an instant, dodging Hu Meinyang's powerful attack. Then, it appeared near Hu Meinyang again. How about 32%? Chun Hao, are you done yet? Hu Meinyang was truly enraged. Her face was cold and emotionless, and she looked as if she wanted nothing more than to slap Chunhao to death. However, what made it even more difficult for her to control her emotions was the grievance in her heart. She knew that when these emotions arose, she was at a disadvantage. And yet, at this time, she refused to cut them off. Women, she had finally tasted the weakness that existed in a woman's nature. Grievances, she could hate, kill, fight for, snatch, but the emotion of grievances had never appeared in her heart. She should be fighting for her share, not sulking and sulking with him. Even though she knew it, she still fell into it and didn't want to cut it off. However, Chunhao was still teasing her. He knew that she was really angry, yet he still mocked her. How could a person be so shameless? Could it be that the 2,000 pieces of Emperor Jade essence that he was given were all fake? Could it be that those wretched and shameless people who wanted to take advantage of her had no feelings at all? The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. The more she felt wronged, the more she didn't want to sever the relationship. Because if she did, she would truly lose Buzz. Hu Meinyang stopped abruptly. The corner of her mouth twitched as she glared at Chunhao. I don't want to see you again. Don't even think about working with me in the future. Have you forgotten our agreement? During this period, you're mine. Of course, I'm also yours. Cancel it now. Don't follow me anymore. Otherwise, I don't mind causing chaos in the world. Forget it, forget it. You're really short-sighted. Cough, cough. I think my hair is quite long, too. I was just joking with you. You actually took it seriously. 50 to 50. Come on up. Chunhao's expression returned to normal as he spoke. Actually, this fellow was feeling smug in his heart. Hu Meinyang's behavior today was enough to tell him something. Humph, you're anxious just like that? You pretend to be calm, but you can't hide the smugness in your heart. Unfortunately, do you really think I'll be angry at you? Pooh, you're not qualified. Puffed. What made Chunhao almost spit out a mouthful of blood was that Hu Meinyang's expression changed faster than flipping the pages of a book. After hearing his offer of a 50-50 split, she immediately revealed a smile, as if everything was under her control. She cheerfully flew into the aircraft. Even Chunhao felt that he had fallen into Hu Meinyang's trap and was being flirted with. There was no knowing what was in a person's heart. Only one's own family knew what was going on. Chunhao thought that he had fallen into Hu Meinyang's trap. What he did not know was that Hu Meinyang saw a way out and immediately jumped on it to confuse Chunhao. Conquering and being conquered, especially between a man and a woman, were mutual. In the end, who was controlling who was taming who was controlling who, what difference did it make? They left secretly and came back quietly. Hu Meinyang continued to mine and refine her Emperor Chalcedony. Chunhao also joined A.O. Tian's refining team. However, 3 days later, when the old divine General Morichi's and Lu Qinya's bodies were respectively refined into 999 blood vitality pills, Chunhao left quietly again. Chunhao did not go directly to the divine race or the insect race. Instead, he went thousands of miles away and carried out special training based on his understanding of Lu Qinya and Morichi's. In just a short month, Chunhao used the shape-shifting ring to create the appearance of Lu Qinya and Morichi's. More importantly, as long as he swallowed their blood vitality pills, the aura of their origin could be passed off as real. At the same time, when Chunhao waved his hand and cast the law of divine power, it was as if Lu Qinya and Morichi's had descended. There was no longer any difference. It's a pity that I don't have their memories. Otherwise, it would be perfect. What are you going to do? At this moment, Hu Meinyang's voice rang in Chunhao's mind. Before Chunhao left, although Hu Meinyang's real body did not follow him, she had integrated a strand of divine thought into Chunhao's mind. In name, she was monitoring how to prevent Chunhao from filling his pockets. Morichi's is simple. He's already the leader of the insect race. Everything is easy. As for Lu Qinya, of course, he'll turn the world upside down and regain his position as the leader of the divine race. He'll kill Fan and kill the other elites. Are you sure there's no problem? Don't forget that we humans have tokens to identify our ranks. It's impossible that the insect race and the divine race don't have them. Although the two of them are definitely of the highest rank, if you come into contact with Fan and the other elites, you'll definitely be exposed. Don't worry, I've already thought of this. Just imprison a top elite. Possession? That might not work. The mystery of the token is not something we can touch. Girl, you'll never be able to understand how strong I am. Just watch. Bah, don't keep me in suspense. I'm serious. If you do that, even if your soul doesn't die, the aura of the token might disappear. Humanian said. Third update. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. Chapter 844. Shut up. Up to you. If anyone dies, it's you. I'm just a strand of divine consciousness. Although Humanian said that, she knew that Chunhao should have a way. Unfortunately, it was useless to provoke him. Chunhao had no intention of revealing it to her. Greetings, Empress Mori. In the insect tribe's territory, a cultivator who was refining the Emperor Chalcedony suddenly saw Mori appear beside him. He was so shocked that he knelt on the ground and spoke in fear and trepidation. After the battle between Mori and Chunhao, the insect tribe cultivator had changed his title to Empress, even though Mori had not stepped into the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Empress, what orders do you have for me? Seeing Morichi's bright eyes staring at him, the initially fearful cultivator's eyes flashed with a hint of excitement as he spoke with a rather excited expression. Mori was the leader of the insect tribe. He was a heavenly immortal, but he had the strength of the Empress of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. This was the true mother of the world. Any talented insect tribe cultivator could be favored by Mori. That was a great honor. At this moment, Mori had quietly come to his side and was staring at him with such a gaze. This made the cultivator think of this possibility. How could he not be excited? Not to mention the benefits of mating with such a monstrous genius like Mori. Just Mori's unparalleled figure and appearance were the dream of all insect tribe men. You've been doing well recently. I'm very satisfied. Thank you, Empress, for your appreciation. I'm willing to serve you, Empress, even if it means death. Very good. Open your mind. If there are no problems tonight, I belong to you. Okay. Rest assured, Empress. Whoosh. The cultivator was overjoyed. His beast blood was boiling. Why would he think so much? Without any hesitation, he opened his mind. Buzz. Just at this moment, a spiritual force that made this cultivator feel extremely terrified suddenly surged into his mind. Shortly after, his vision turned black. When he reappeared, he discovered that he had entered a vast world where the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was extremely dense. What is this place? My world. Kill. Gotta slaughter, don't panic. Chunhao descended from the sky like a god. His divine will had taken form, and he was releasing a terrifying pressure. With a wicked smile on his face, he stared at the insect clan cultivator who was so scared that he fell to the ground. Do you want to live or die? Empress, idiot, can't you use your brain? Morris is dead. How is this possible? Cut the crap. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish and refine your soul. If you want to live, become my soul slave and give me all your memories. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2. Live. I don't want to die. Gotta slaughter. Please spare me. Extreme shock and boundless fear made the insect clan cultivator feel like he was in a nightmare. However, he had no choice but to respond immediately. Even Morris was no match for Chunhao, the god of slaughter. Although he still couldn't fully believe what Chunhao said, he knew that it was probably true. What followed was naturally very simple. It took no effort at all to deal with this cultivator. Strange, why are you so familiar with the insect clan's territory? Humanian's divine will couldn't help but ask. What's so strange about it? To be honest, I'm not just familiar with the insect clan. I'm also familiar with the Protoss, tyrants, and elves. In 2 years, it's easy for me to familiarize myself with their situation. Chunhao said, You mean you've stolen from all 4 major galaxies 2 years ago? Of course. How embarrassing it is to steal from only one. I have to treat them all equally. Morris often summons his subordinates and flirts with them. Now, I just need to let this idiot pull the strings and summon an insect clan genius with the highest level token. Absorbed into the mind space didn't die. When Hu Mainyang heard Chun Hao's words, she suddenly said in surprise, I understand now. Your mind space has grown into a great world. Pervert. It's just SOS. No, I want my real body to come too. Are you serious? I'll welcome you 100,000 times. TSK, TSK, in my great world. I could do whatever I want. No matter how powerful you are, I'll play with you however I want. Ha! How dare you? Now, one pick me up first. It's safer with my real body around. Do you think all the insect clan's top-level tokens are the same as this idiot? Also, don't think that just because you've signed the soul slave agreement, he'll listen to you obediently. He still has his own consciousness. Once he wakes up and is willing to sacrifice himself for the insect clan, you'll be exposed. Holy Virgin Hu, do you think I'm that stupid? His memories of me have been erased and planted with false memories. Now, in his mind, I'm just a soul slave of Queen Morris. Are you sure you dare to come? I'll go and pick you up right away. I can't ask for more. Humph. Do you think you can scare me? How dare you touch me? Go now. F***CK. Then you can watch, I'll go. Hiss. After Chun Hao finished speaking, he released the Insect Clan Cultivator. Then, using Morris' appearance and aura, he easily broke the Insect Clan seal and disappeared into the sky. Old God, seal all the Emperor Jade Essence raw stones and magical treasures. Give her some space. See if you have any way to make her unable to find out anything. Hu Mainyang's divine will did not know that when she insisted on coming, Chun Hao had already asked Old God to set up the great world in his mind. With Chun Hao's current level, it was all thanks to Old God that he was able to create a great world. Although he was the controller, Old God was the one in control now. Unless Chun Hao's level reached the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, he could only be considered as Old God's. Don't worry, Master. I promise to complete the task. Old God said, she's not afraid of me at all. It seems like I've been too soft-hearted. However, if she comes over, it'll be easier. Chun Hao pondered in his heart when he saw from afar that Hu Mainyang had already retracted her aura and was standing in the air, waiting for him. Soon after, the corners of his mouth lifted into an evil, charming smile as he said, You better think carefully. If you dare to be rude to me, don't blame me for being heartless. Hu Mainyang said fearlessly. Of course, she knew what would happen if she entered Chun Hao's great world in his mind. She did not have any confidence in defeating Chun Hao. If she entered Chun Hao's great world, it would be like what Chun Hao had said. He could play with her however he wanted. However, she was sure that Chun Hao would not dare to do anything rash. The reason was simple. If Chun Hao wanted to do something rash, he would not threaten her. Obviously, he did not want her to enter. Moreover, after so many years together, although Hu Mainyang did not dare to say that she completely understood Chun Hao's character, at least she knew his bottom line. Then come in. Chi. Chun Hao did not waste any more words. He sent out a ray of light that wrapped around Hu Mainyang. Hu Mainyang did not resist and directly entered Chun Hao's great world in his mind. Chapter 845. What a freak. Hu Mainyang stared at the vast space in a daze. The Tao laws around her surged, and her heart was filled with shock. This world was no different from a real great world. The only difference was the size of the space and the heavenly laws it contained. Chun Hao was only a heavenly immortal, but the vastness of this great world and the heavenly laws it contained shocked Hu Mainyang, who had a connate Taoist embryo. The reason was simple. Chun Hao was the master of this great world, and the heavenly laws were based on Chun Hao's comprehension. The more heavenly Tao laws Chun Hao comprehended and the stronger they were, the more heavenly Tao laws this large world contained would be. At this moment, Hu Mainyang realized that she, who had a connate Taoist embryo and resonated with the heavenly laws, was no better than Chun Hao in terms of the amount and degree of comprehension she had. To form a great world in one's mind, one must reach the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Since he has already formed a great world, he must have the support of a supreme-grade saint or even a Dharma treasure that surpasses the supreme-grade saint. Otherwise, it's impossible, Hu Meinyang thought to herself as she sensed the aura of the entire space. How is it? Is my great world okay? It's average. When this old lady steps into the Grand Mist realm, the world I can condense with my own strength will definitely be stronger than yours. Hu Meinyang said, Are you saying it's stronger than mine? It's all the same. The innate Tao embryo isn't as simple as you think it is. Its true power can only be seen when one steps into the great overarching golden immortal realm, and only when one steps into the primordial chaos realm will it truly show its true power. I understand. Don't you want to tell me how precious your primordialine is? You? What nonsense are you talking about? What does it have to do with you? I just can't stand you being so smug, Hu Meinyang said angrily. She was unhappy that Chun Hao had deliberately misinterpreted her meaning. Open my mind. Ha! Do you think I'll open it just because you say so? You dare to come in? Aren't you afraid that I'll seal you here and keep you captive? It looks pretty good. Innate embryo of Tao. Cut the crap. Open it now. Hu Meinyang was completely defeated by Chun Hao's shamelessness. Her tones softened a little, although she concluded that Chun Hao wouldn't do anything to her. If this shameless guy deliberately took liberties with her, she really wouldn't be able to do anything. Here it is. That was the territory that Chun Hao had absolute control over. Not to mention that her combat strength was on par with Chun Hao's. Even if she was slightly stronger than Chun Hao, she was definitely not a match for Chun Hao. Do you know what it means to be polite? Smile at me and speak obediently. Chun Hao, can you please open your mind to Meinyang? Chun Hao originally thought that Hu Meinyang would definitely not do it, but unexpectedly, Hu Meinyang straightforwardly revealed a smile, and her voice was even more charming and gentle, full of temptation. Is that okay? If you can't, Meinyang can be gentler and smile more brilliantly. F***CK. Don't disgust me. Chun Hao directly opened Hu Meinyang's mind. This woman's character was completely like the weather, unpredictable, temperamental, and ever-changing. Chun Hao didn't have the slightest bit of pleasure in having his way. What was there to play? Greetings, Commander Boots. What's the matter? In the insect race, a figure sitting cross-legged in a cave that was condensed from the origin stone frowned slightly after hearing the voice outside the seal. The person who came was a relatively strong expert from the Maurice army. Empress Mo Li invites you in. Why is Empress Mo Li looking for me? That's not for me to know. But, Commander Buzio, I'm not sure. Your innate combat strength is in the top 20 of the insect race. Perhaps you also know that Empress Mo Li's insect soldiers were all killed by Chun Hao, the god of slaughter. Naturally, they would need to fuse with some of the strongest bloodlines. This is a great thing. Oh, good. I'll go immediately. Commander Boots' calm expression suddenly flashed with a touch of excitement. Maurice had visited him before. However, after coming to the primitive secret realm, his combat strength increased relatively slowly, and he didn't even enter the ranks of the top experts of the insect race. He didn't expect that Empress Mo Li would visit him again. However, the excited Boots didn't even dream that he would lose the opportunity to see the light of day again. Chun Hao, who easily absorbed Boots into the great world in his mind, had the aura of the token. Maurice no longer had any flaws in his disguise. He swaggered around and collected all the Emperor Jade essence that the insect race cultivators who worked hard for him had mined. After telling them that he would return in a month, he left again. After that, something similar happened in the Protoss. The only difference was that Lu Qinya, the former leader of the Protoss, made a strong voice and challenged the second strongest expert who had defeated him before. Lu Qinya actually dares to challenge me? He's just a reborn after obtaining the Emperor Jade essence. Does he think that I haven't improved? He doesn't know what's good for him. A bet of 100 Emperor Jade essences, and he was once the leader of the Protoss. Oof. The second strongest expert of the Protoss said coldly in the cave abode that was condensed with magical powers. Yes. Lu Qinyi used 100 Emperor Jade essences to challenge you, Commander. This is simply a humiliation, a subordinate said. Yes, Commander, you can't agree. It's embarrassing. That won't do. If Commander doesn't agree, others will think that our Commander is afraid. It's necessary to accept the challenge, but the stakes must be raised. If he doesn't agree, then Commander doesn't have to care about him. Others will only think that Lu Qinyi is a coward. The second strongest expert subordinates spoke out one after another. Yes, pass down my order. We can fight, but the bet is 5,000 Emperor Jade essences. The area that he was assigned to is about this number. All right, 5,000. Isn't that all of my Emperor Jade essences? If that's the case, why don't we have a life and death battle? The survivor will get everything from the other party. Lu Qinyi, will challenge them one by one and regain the position of the leader of the Protoss. An hour later, Lu Qinyi seemed to be angry from embarrassment. He once again issued a provocative voice and directly exposed his strong ambition. Lu Qinyi, you really don't know what's good for you. It seems like you have been the leader for too long. You're not happy that I replaced you this time. You want to challenge the second strongest expert and then me? The news of Lu Qinyi and the second strongest expert of the Protoss race going to fight to the death spread throughout the entire Protoss race. After consuming the Emperor Jade essence and being reborn, the leader of the Protoss race, Fan, whose aura had become stronger, muttered to himself in his cave abode. I was just thinking that the Emperor Jade essence was too little. If that's the case, why don't I intervene earlier? Whoosh. When Fan thought of this, he immediately retracted his aura and disappeared from the spot. Fan was very clear that if he did not appear at this time, once Lu Qinyi died, his Emperor Jade essence would all be taken by the second strongest expert. At that time, the second strongest expert might not even challenge him, and there would be no other way. At the same time, when the second strongest expert received the news, he did not hesitate and stood up excitedly. The Emperor Jade essence had been reborn. Although he knew that Lu Qinyi would definitely improve, he believed that his improvement would be greater. This was the attitude of the strong who looked down on the world. Has Lu Qinyi gone mad? Probably. Losing the leader's throne was too much of a blow to him, and the Emperor Jade essence that he has been given is too little. Maybe he's not mad, but really strong. The Emperor Jade essence has been reborn. How much each person can improve is different. If there's no hope, would he really dare to do this? Challenging the second strongest expert to a battle to the death is already ruthless enough. He won't even let Fan go. Before the battle between Lu Qinyi and the second strongest expert, hundreds of millions of Protoss race cultivators had stopped refining the Emperor Jade essence and were discussing fervently. Except for a few people, most people thought that Lu Qinyi had gone mad. Lu Qinyi, will step on all of you one by one and return to the leader's throne of the Protoss race. Fan, do you dare to accept my challenge? The wager is my endless treasures, all the Emperor Jade essence, and my life. When all the Protoss race cultivators had gathered, and Fan and the second strongest expert had also appeared, Lu Qinyi's arrogance soared to the sky. He was almost crazy as he provoked Fan. Lu Qinyi, remember, the one who ended your life is me. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you've improved a little. You couldn't do it before, and you still can't do it now. The second strongest expert let out a strong voice. I'm afraid you have no hope of fighting with me. Of course, if you can win, I will naturally accept the challenge. Fan was even calmer. However, if you die in the first battle, Lu Qinyi, I can't go back empty-handed. I want 50%. If you have any objections, I don't mind. Let's fight. His calm words contained the strength and power of the strongest expert. At the same time, he seemed to think that Lu Qinyi had a higher chance of dying, so he stated his conditions first. Even if Lu Qinyi's performance had improved tremendously, Fan was more confident in himself. Very good. My fellow Protoss race brethren can testify. I have no objections at all. At that time, if you don't dare to accept the challenge, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Of course, if I win, all your treasures and Emperor Jade Essence will belong to me. Crazy. Confident. By now, everyone could see that Lu Qinya had asked Nie Fan to agree in advance, because he was afraid that Nie Fan would shrink back after he defeated the second strongest expert. However, Nie Fan still agreed without a care, which also showed his absolute confidence. Most people also thought that Lu Qinya was overstimulated and blindly arrogant. Not to mention Nie Fan, he might not even be a match for the second strongest expert. However, in the first battle, Lu Qinya relied on his powerful combat skills and strength that was not inferior to the second strongest expert to torture the second strongest expert to death. His methods were crazy, fierce, and cruel. Such a situation shocked countless Protoss race cultivators. Even under Nie Fan's calm appearance, there were waves in his heart. Crazy demon. Lu Qinya has gone crazy. He has made up his mind that either you die or he dies. Otherwise, he might not have won this battle. This was the consensus of Nie Fan and many other Protoss race experts. Sorry, I was in a hurry today and forgot that the third strongest expert of the Protoss race had been killed. There was a bug, but it has now been corrected. Sorry. Chapter 846. The bug in Chapter 836 has been fixed. The third master has been killed by Coiling Dragon. Sorry. The challengers were Nie Fan and the second master. He actually won. Lu Qinya has improved so much. Does he really have a chance of regaining the position of the leader of the Protoss? The commander is dead. What should we do? The leaders of the second master's legion were extremely embarrassed. I didn't expect Lu Qinya to become so strong. But no matter what, our share won't be affected. It's just that the leader has changed to Lu Qinya. What's the hurry? Lu Qinya will definitely die if Nie Fan attacks. I will be Nie Fan's subordinate. With his reputation as the leader of the Protoss, he won't snatch our share. They watched as Lu Qinya collected the second master's scattered treasures, elixirs, and Emperor Jade Essence. The second master's subordinates were worried about their current situation. They were actually laborers. Their biggest worry was that after the change of master, they would lose their original agreed share. 3 days later, I, Lu Qinya, will return to the throne of the Protoss. Goodbye. Lu Qinya was covered in blood, but he was still arrogant. Wait. Nie Fan suddenly stopped him. Why? Do you want to fight with me now? Lu Qinya frowned. There was a trace of madness and disdain in his eyes. Don't worry. I, Nie Fan, won't take advantage of you. There is no need to. Winning against you is a simple matter. Then what do you mean? Very simple. Recover here. I don't want to waste my Emperor Jade Essence on a dying man. Of course, I'll be waiting for you here during these 3 days. Nie Fan spoke with a fierce gaze. Everyone knew how precious the Emperor Jade Essence was. Although Lu Qinya wouldn't use much of it in 3 days, who would care if he wasted it or distributed it to his subordinates? Ha! That's great. Lu Qinya frowned slightly, but immediately agreed. He sat down cross-legged and entered a state of recovery. In Chun Hao's mind. In today's battle, you barely didn't expose your secret technique. 3 days later, when you fight with Nie Fan, if you only rely on your imitation of Lu Qinya, I'm afraid it will be difficult. Hu Mainyang said, You came here just to watch the show? You're in my big world. When the time comes, you just need to lend me your power, and I will be able to kill him with absolute power. You still want me to help you? I'm not a hothead who blindly does things. However, this is also the last moment. An opponent like Nie Fan is rare, so we can't waste it. Chen Hao said, although Nie Fan was not as strong as Morichi's, he was still the #1 master of the Protoss. If Chun Hao did not use his own unique skills, it would not be easy to kill him. This was equivalent to sealing himself and fighting with the other party. Without a doubt, this was an excellent opportunity for him to temper himself. It's up to you. Up until now, Nie Fan has shown no signs of fear. It seems that after consuming the Imperial Jade Marrow his strength has also improved tremendously. Don't be too careless. Don't worry. At most, I'll just use my ultimate technique. Lu Qianye had been hiding a lot. Now that he was exposed, who would dare to say that it wasn't his? Of course, the Great Five Elements art definitely won't work. Chen Hao said, "Damn it, I still have to control the speed of my recovery." In front of countless cultivators, Chen Hao's abnormal recovery ability was too exaggerated. After all, he was now Lu Qianye. Nie Fan sensed Lu Qianye's aura from afar. He also sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. Lu Qianye could kill the number 2 master in a life-and-death duel. In his opinion, even if he was not as good as him, the difference was not much. In a life-and-death duel with such a crazy master, even he did not dare to be careless. In 3 days, he had to adjust himself to the best state and kill him with an absolute advantage. Nie Fan believed that after this battle, his status and prestige in the Protoss would definitely rise to a new level. In the battle of the 10 major galaxies, he, who had high hopes for the Protoss, did not bring glory to the Protoss. It would be strange if his reputation was not affected at all. And this time, Lu Qianye's provocation gave him a chance to establish a strong prestige. Strength was the most important thing. He just had to show his super strength and let everyone see his amazing progress in just 2 years. That was enough. Similarly, after killing Lu Qianye, the number 2 master and Lu Qianye's Emperor Chalcedony would completely belong to him. Those that had not been refined would also belong to him. He just had to fulfill the promise of the number 2 master and Lu Qianye and fulfill the division of the members of his army. No one dared to mess around. Humph. Now, even if the Zerg Queen Maurices or the god of killing Chen Hao were here, I still have the power to fight. The Emperor Chalcedony has been reborn, and my strength has increased by 3 times. It is not something they can compare to. Hiss! In an instant, Nie Fan, who was immersed in the last 3 days of cultivation, exuded a majestic and terrifying aura. This was just the aura that was released spontaneously during cultivation, but it already shocked the surrounding cultivators. If it was released deliberately, how strong would it be? At least, it was not something that Lu Qianye and the number 2 master could compare to. For 3 days, the countless Protoss spectators did not leave. This was the most powerful battle of the Protoss. At the same time, it was also the battle for the highest commander of the Protoss in the primitive secret realm. It concerned the interests of many people, especially Nie Fan, the number 2 master, and Lu Qianye's army. There is still more than half a day left. It's really torturous. Ha, are you excited? Don't worry, there is no suspense in this battle at all. Just look at Commander Nie's aura now. How can Lu Qianye compare to him? Yes, they are not on the same level at all. Commander Nie's improvement after consuming the Emperor Chalcedony is too terrifying. Let's just wait for the bonus. This time, when we get Lu Qianye and the number 2 master's minds, Commander Nie will naturally take care of us and place some of our people there. Of course, I know that. Don't you want to see that arrogant Lu Qianye get killed as soon as possible? The members of the Nie Fan army were excited, especially when Nie Fan's aura was getting stronger and stronger. They were not worried at all. Now, they just needed to wait. The number 2 master and Lu Qianye's army were anxiously waiting for Nie Fan's arrangement after he won. There was no doubt that he would take care of his old subordinates. They just hoped that he would not be too ruthless. Boom! At this time, Lu Qianye, who was sitting cross-legged and immersed in healing, suddenly had a violent surge of aura around him. He immediately opened his eyes. Swift and fierce, yet crazy. Almost in an instant, his clothes and long hair fluttered in the wind. Nie Fan, 3 days is too long. I have completely recovered. Do you dare start? To everyone's surprise and excitement, Lu Qianye had actually challenged him half a day in advance. Chapter 847. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Boom! Nie Fan leaped into the air, his fighting spirit raging. Endless pressure instantly shrouded a radius of 10,000 miles, causing the surrounding Protoss cultivators to retreat in shock. He's too strong. Commander Nye's improvement is really amazing. This aura is definitely more than twice as strong as it was 2 years ago when the top 10 galaxies were fighting. Yes, his real combat power must be stronger. Countless cultivators sensed the terrifying aura emanating from Yefan, and their hearts were filled with horror. The Emperor Chalcedony was indeed an extremely powerful spiritual medicine, but after consuming a certain amount, it would not have any effect. After all, the improvement was limited. However, Niefan's improvement was really too shocking. Compared to Lu Qinya's aura at this moment, it was definitely much stronger. He's so strong? Even Chun Hao was slightly surprised when he sensed Niefan's violent outburst. It seems that this guy's combat power has improved even more. That's great. Lu Qinya, you're also a rare genius of the Protoss. If you know how to endure and keep a low profile, you may grow into one of the supreme beings of the Protoss. Unfortunately, your temperament is too bad and you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Since you provoked me, Niefan, I'll send you on your way today. I'd like to see what qualifications you have to fight with me. Chi. Niefan stood in the void with his hands behind his back. The violent power surging in his body made him full of confidence. Not to mention Lu Qinya. Even if God of Slaughter Chun Hao came, Niefan felt that he could crush him with one punch. As he spoke, Niefan stepped into the air and approached Lu Qinya at a steady pace. With every step he took, the fighting spirit and pressure on his body increased. Not to mention Lu Qinya, who bore the brunt of it. Even the surrounding cultivators felt a sense of suffocation. Strong, Niefan had indeed improved a lot in 2 years. He was so powerful that it was terrifying. Niefan, Commander Nya. Niefan, Commander Nya. At the moment when the war was about to break out, the members of the Niefan Corps were the first to erupt in thunderous cheers. Immediately, countless Protoss cultivators responded, and even the members of the Second Corps joined in. Only the members of the Lu Qinya Legion looked embarrassed and conflicted. Obviously, everyone was certain that Lu Qinya would die today. If not for the fact that the members of Lu Qinya's army were looking down on them, they would have probably joined in to cheer for Niefan. Kneel down, admit your defeat, and be my servant. Perhaps I'll consider forgiving you for provoking me. Under the cheers of countless people, Niefan's mood surged. This feeling was much better than when he had just replaced Niefan as the leader of the god race. It was even better than 2 years ago when the god race's morale was low and they had only achieved 4th place. His prestige had only been truly established today. If he killed Lu Qinya right away, he wouldn't be able to enjoy the thrill of it. I wanted to say the same thing to you. Unfortunately, you don't even have the qualifications to be my servant. What made Niefan and countless other cultivators disdainful was that Lu Qinya was still as arrogant as ever. Did he not sense Niefan's powerful aura? While everyone was looking at her with disdain, Lu Qinya's bloodline started to burn madly. Boom! An extremely pure bloodline power suddenly spread. It wasn't very strong, but in an instant, all the god race cultivators, including Niefan, widened their eyes in shock. What? Heavens, this is the aura of a true god's bloodline. Divine King Body. Lu Qinya actually has the Divine King Body. The strongest body constitution that the god race rarely sees in a million years. The Divine King Body. At this moment, the god race cultivators who were cheering just now all shut their mouths and kept quiet out of fear. The king of God's physique held a supreme position in the hearts of the cultivators of the God clan. It was also something that every cultivator yearned for. Having the Divine King Body meant that they had the purest bloodline of the ancient true gods of the god race. It was the strongest body constitution of the god race. Once they grew up, they would definitely be able to reach the top of the god race and become a supreme existence. Even though Lu Qinya's aura was still far from Niefan's, who dared to say that Lu Qinya with the Divine King Body would lose. The strength of the Divine King Body was absolutely unshakable in the hearts of the god race cultivators. More importantly, the aura of a true god's bloodline contained a kind of pressure that completely surpassed the level of the god race cultivators. This was the pressure that came from the bloodline. The divine king, the divine king, the king that made all living beings submit to him. It was also because of this power that all the god race cultivators who had never seen the divine king body before could immediately confirm that Lu Qinya had the divine king body. Divine king. When the divine king appears, no one can defeat him. A cultivator in Lu Qinya's army was the first to shout. When the divine king appears, no one can defeat him. Then, the entire Lu Qinya's army's aura suddenly soared. Everyone was truly excited. This was the divine king body that only existed in legends. When they thought about how Lu Qinya seemed to have gone mad and directly challenged the second strongest person in Nye Fan, many of the god race cultivators suddenly realized that Lu Qinya might not be mad at all. He was truly confident in himself. He had hidden it too deeply. In an instant, many more cultivators joined the crowd to cheer for Lu Qinya. They actually reached the point where they were evenly matched with Nye Fan. Good? Very good. No wonder you were so arrogant. The divine king body, the strongest body of the god race. Ha ha! I, Nye Fan, want to see how strong this legendary body is. Everyone present can testify that I, Nye Fan, will kill you today. You only have yourself to blame. When the time comes, no one can blame me for killing the divine king body, the strongest body of the god race that only appears once in 1,000,000 years. Of course, I will refine every inch of your bloodline and absorb the blood of a true god into my body. Ha ha ha! After a brief moment of shock, Nye Fan really went crazy. His eyes that looked at Lu Qinya became incomparably hot, as if he had seen the most delicious prey. Die! Amidst his loud laughter, Nye Fan roared. His figure suddenly rushed violently toward Lu Qinya. The power that was like the mountains and the sea pressed down on him from all directions. Chi! Rumble! The void shattered, and heaven and earth shook. It was a simple and direct punch. It only contained a little bit of the divine power law that could be condensed from the physique of the divine race. However, the feeling it gave off was no less than the great 5 elements art that Chun Hao had used during his battle with Morichis. Be careful. The moment she saw Nye Fan's punch, whom Mainyang reminded him in surprise. I want to see if the god race's physical body is heaven-defying or if my physical body is stronger. Roar! The fake Lu Qinya suddenly erupted like a volcano and threw out a simple and direct punch. Chapter 848. Bam! Rumble! A terrifying explosion of energy engulfed the world like a flash flood. The sky seemed to be collapsing as dark clouds rolled, and energy raged like dragons dancing in the air. Countless cultivators retreated frantically. Those who were slightly slower were bleeding from their 7 orifices due to the shockwave. When the gods fought, the mortals suffered. Moreover, these were not mortals. One could imagine how powerful the first collision was. Bam! 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 Rumble! What was more shocking was that such a powerful attack came one after another without any pause. Looking from afar, it was terrifying. Streaks of energy electric snakes were like a storm, densely packed and pouring in all directions. The scene was extremely terrifying. At this moment, all the cultivators of the Shun clan were so shocked that their mouths were agape. Their eyes bulged out of their sockets as they watched this horrifying scene unfold before them. Powerful. Whether it was Nye Fan or the fake Lu Qinya who had exposed her godly king physique, both of them were unbelievably powerful. Everyone was sure that if the two of them were as powerful as they were now, when the top 10 galaxies fought 2 years ago, God of Slaughter Chun, Hao and Morichis would not be a problem. The God King physique is indeed terrifying. His aura is obviously much weaker than Nye Fan's, but the power he unleashed contains the aura of a true god. It's not inferior to Nye Fan at all. The terrifying power displayed by the God King physique shocked all the cultivators of the God clan. Divine forbidden technique. Swish, swish. Suddenly, Nye Fan, who was in the middle of the fight, let out a loud roar. In an instant, he threw out a barrage of punches. A total of 81 blood-red beams of light shot out from his mountainous fists and weaved into a net from all directions. It condensed into a heaven and earth cage and pressed down on the fake Lucinia, a divine forbidden technique that can only be unleashed at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Countless cultivators of the God clan exclaimed. Nye Fan was only at the heavenly immortal stage, but at this moment he was able to unleash the ultimate technique of the God clan that could only be unleashed at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. The divine forbidden technique. Boom, boom, 81 swish. 81 punches were like 81 mountains. Their aura was vast and unparalleled. They locked down heaven and earth as they charged toward Chun Hao. Good timing. Chun Hao's fake Lucinia was like a flood dragon. He took the initiative to meet the fist shadows. He twisted and turned, and although he seemed to be in a mess, he was not flustered at all. Every punch and kick was extremely violent, and the timing of his attacks was so precise that it was not even a millimeter off. Break! Boom! In that split second, Chun Hao let out a loud shout, and the last fist shadow was destroyed. Although Chun Hao was in a sorry state from the energy bombardment, his aura had become even more ferocious and powerful. The God King physique, be it in terms of physical strength or defense, it far surpasses any other physique. Lucinia might not lose this battle. Everyone knew that Nye Fan's powerful attack must be one of his strongest trump cards. However, Lucinia did not even hurt him at all. Instead, she broke it. This was shocking. The God clan has nothing special to speak of. Their combat skills are also ordinary. Their biggest advantage is to fight with absolute strength. It's not interesting at all, Chun Hao thought to himself. In this short exchange, Nye Fan was completely reckless in Chun Hao's eyes. He wanted to use his absolute strength to defeat him in one fell swoop. For Chun Hao, there was no meaning in training him. If that's the case, let's end this. Buzz. Chun Hao, who had rushed out from the fist shadows, suddenly shook his slender figure. He took a step forward in the void. In an instant, his terrifying physical strength and true core strength soared into the sky. His aura suddenly became many times stronger, and his whole body bloomed with dazzling blood-red light. He hit his strength? Oh my God, Lucinia hit his strength too well. At this moment, Lucinia seemed to have turned into a blood-red sun. His majestic and terrifying aura and unimaginably powerful aura made him the only one in everyone's eyes. Their minds were captivated. How is this possible? Even though his divine forbidden art didn't manage to take Lucinia down, Nye Fan was still filled with fighting spirit. However, at this moment, just the aura that Lucinia released was enough to make his hair stand on end. Nye Fan, you should be proud that you can die in the hands of my God King body. His arrogant voice rumbled like thunder from the 9 heavens, causing the mountains to rumble and the earth to tremble. At the same time, Lucinia's fist was like a scorching sun, occupying everyone's eyes and capturing their minds. This was an absolute power that completely surpassed the realm. It was cold, ruthless, and terrifying to the point that it made one's hair stand on end and unable to resist. With this punch, time seemed to freeze. Only the cold, killing intent and irresistible aura filled everyone's hearts. Not to mention Nye Fan, who was bearing the brunt of this attack. Even the God Clan masters in the distance were terrified. Their faces were pale, and cold sweat dripped down their backs. At this moment, Nye Fan let out a roar that shook the heavens and the earth. After breaking free from the shackles of the aura, he knew very well that this might be the last battle of his life. Even if he died, he would explode with all his strength. Endless unwillingness, endless regret, and endless reluctance turned into monstrous hatred for Lucinia. At this moment, he knew that no one could save him, and Lu Qinya would not let him go. Therefore, he could only fight to the death, and fight to the death with all his might. Boom, boom, boom. Endless energy drowned Nie Fan and Lu Qinya. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Rocks were pierced through, and the world was pitch black. Only the dancing energy could be seen. No one saw clearly what happened to the two of them, but everyone knew and was extremely sure that Nie Fan was most likely dead. The explosion lasted for half a minute before the dark clouds dissipated and the dust settled. All the God Clan cultivators were silent as they stared at the center of the explosion. Lu Qinya's proud figure appeared in everyone's eyes. Lu Qinya, Leader Lu. Lu Qinya, Leader Lu. Immediately, the cultivators of the Lu Qinya army were the first to burst into cheers. Then, all the cultivators of the God Clan responded. Even the cultivators of the Nie Fan army were ashen-faced. But now that the dust had settled, especially after seeing Lu Qinya's terrifying combat strength, they all responded. The winner takes all. I, Lu Qinya, have always believed that strength is everything. The original distribution plan of your two armies remains unchanged. Every month, the commander will collect and hand it to me. If anyone dares to embezzle, don't blame me for being ruthless. Understand? Understood. Please rest assured, Leader Lu. No one dared to disobey. Everyone spread out and start mining. Yes. After giving a simple order, Chen Hao directly broke through the air. The harvest from Nie Fan was not much less than Morichi's. Together with Yang, they could easily get rid of him. It could be said that the God Clan was already under his control. Chapter 849. However, Chen Hao did not go to the extreme, nor could he. After all, even if he could disguise himself as the leader of the Protoss and the Zergs, he could not do anything too outrageous. First, the Protoss and the Zergs had their own rules. If he went against them, it would be unreasonable and would arouse suspicion. Second, if he went overboard, it would anger everyone, and it would be difficult to clean up the mess. To be able to get a share of Morichi's, Lu Qinya, Nie Fan, and the second strongest of the Protoss, as well as their Dharma treasures, was already a big gain. After that, every month, Chen Hao would disguise himself as Morichi's and Lu Qinya to collect the Emperor Jade essence from the two races. A year later, the members of Proud Heaven's Outer Circle joined Proud Heaven's collection and refining team. The primal mystic realm was vast and boundless, and there were still many mysterious places. There were also many unexplored areas, and no one would miss out on such an opportunity. The armies that were assigned to a small area all left the Emperor Jade Essence region after they finished collecting and began a new journey. In the next few years, the core members of Proud Skies were immersed in seclusion, and the collection mission was completely handed over to the outer members. With sufficient Emperor Jade Essence, the core members of Proud Skies all improved tremendously. In addition, Chen Hao would occasionally trample on them. How much did the core members of Proud Skies improve? During this time, Liang returned. Chen Hao gathered Liang and Chun Ling, and they went into seclusion for 2 years. Finally, Liang was filled with gratitude, and Chen Hao came out of seclusion with ease. Whether it was an obsession or an inner demon, Chen Hao did not delve too deeply into it. However, he knew that if he really agreed to Chun Ling's request, it would perhaps become his greatest inner demon. It might even become the greatest demonic obstacle on his path to the peak of martial arts. That was not what he wanted. The biggest problem for Chun Ling and Liang was that as divine fetus, they had never come into contact with any cultivators from the time they were born into the world. Even though both of them had inherited memories and teachings from their master, they had never experienced anything. When they entered the world, they were like blank pieces of paper. Anything could easily disturb their state of mind. However, Chen Hao did not expect Chen Ling to be in such a situation. Big brother, thank you. Big brother, I'm sorry. Liang and Chen Ling clasped their hands and thanked Chen Hao gratefully. Chen Ling's face was slightly red. Even though she still had her own thoughts in the depths of her heart, they were no longer important to her. There were some things that were more important than inner demons and obsessions. Humans could do whatever they wanted, but that was built on the basis of moral constraints. Some things, even if one wanted to, could only be buried deep in one's heart and become a secret that only one knew, never to be revealed to the world. Why are you thanking Big Brother and apologizing to him? You can go now. Big Brother wants to spar with Pam Long. It can't be delayed any longer, Chen Hao said with a solemn expression. The fusion of the two extreme Daos was imminent. At this moment, Li Yang and Chen Ling had already condensed their Yin divinities. If this dragged on, it would be even more difficult for them to break free from their extreme Dao cultivation. Similarly, Coiled Dragon had been reborn from the Emperor Jade Marrow, and his situation was even more urgent. Okay, Chen Ling said. Big Brother, we've decided to infiltrate the human army and experience the world. We might not return for the next few hundred years. If anything happens, use the flying device to inform us, okay? If I figure out a way to fuse them, I'll inform you. As for the rest, there shouldn't be any problems. Go on. Chen Hao looked at the two of them and said. Now that the knot in his heart had been untied, Chen Hao treated Chen Ling and Li Yang as if they were his younger siblings, whether it was his tone, expression, or state of mind. Senior brother. When Chen Ling and Li Yang disappeared into the horizon, Coiled Dragon, who was in seclusion, appeared like a ferocious beast in human form. He emitted a terrifying aura as he rushed over. Cultivate in seclusion with me for 2 years. Senior brother, what are you going to do? Coiled Dragon staggered and almost fell from the sky. He looked at Chen Hao and asked. In the past few years, Chen Hao had ravaged him several times. Even the battle maniac Coiled Dragon was tortured to the point that it left a shadow in his heart. Now, that Chen Hao wanted to cultivate in seclusion with him for a year, what could he do? Don't worry, it's just meditation this time. Damn it, you're from the savage tribe. Is this all you've got? Even Du Jing is stronger than you. Cough, cough. Senior brother, you're not as cruel to Du Jing as I am. Cut the crap. Your extreme Dao is imminent. I've completely figured out Li Yang and Ling Er's situation. You're the only one left. Okay. In the past few years, Chen had already made arrangements. The task of collecting the Emperor Jade Marrow every other month was given to his soul slaves in the God race and the insect race. After collecting it, he would give half to Hu Meinyang and the other half to Chen Shui, according to the original agreement. Boss, just as Chen Hao and Coiled Dragon were about to go into seclusion, Lan Feng rushed over and called out from afar. Boss, you're finally out. There's something you need to decide. What is it? Didn't you say that Xiao Shui and the others can make all the decisions? Cough, cough. Sister-in-law Xiao Shui and the other sisters-in-law said that they can't make the decision, so they asked me to ask you. Lan Feng looked at Chen Hao with a strange expression. Speak. It's like this. That Bailey Ningbing finished her collection a few months ago and came to us. She said she wants to join Proud Heaven. You see, join Proud Heaven? You can't make the decision for such a small matter? Chen Hao frowned slightly. He was a little surprised. That crazy girl with a twisted personality would lower her head? This, sister-in-law Xiao Shui and the others asked you if you want her to become a core member or not. Chen Hao's mouth twitched at Lan Feng's words. Are you asking for my opinion? I said outside. Boss, are you sure? The sisters-in-law obviously don't mind. After all, Bailey Ningbing has an affair with you. F***CK off. Chen Hao kicked Lan Feng's butt. Let Xiao Shui and the others decide. Don't ask me. I don't have any opinion on how they decide. But why would she join Proud Heaven? This. Master Han, Mei, and Master Yun Wei brought her here. They didn't tell me the specifics, so I don't know. The two masters are here? Chen Hao was taken aback. They're here. Boss, I realize that your two masters aren't simple. Especially Master Han Mei. His aura is very weak, but I can feel fear from the bottom of my heart. Chapter 850. Chen Hao frowned slightly. It was strange that Venerable Han Mei and Venerable Yun Wei had returned at this time, with Bailey Ning Bing and joined Ao Tian. This made Chen Hao more and more confused about Venerable Han Mei. Very strange. Are the two masters still here? They left after 2 days. Lan Feng said, "All right, just do as I say. Little Shui and the others can do whatever they want." After Chen Hao finished speaking, he followed Pan Long into the secluded cultivation area. A year later, Pan Long came out of seclusion. 50 years later, when the Monarch Jade Quintessence region was completely harvested, Chen Hao finally came out of seclusion. When he came out, Chen Shui and the other members of Ao Tian also gathered. Everyone had a strange feeling when they saw Chen Hao. Apart from his appearance, his aura had become unfathomable. Even Chen Shui, who had the strongest soul perception, couldn't see through him. Of course, everyone knew that Chen Hao must have made a new breakthrough. "Senior brother, did you succeed?" Pan Long looked at Chen Hao excitedly. "I did it. As for you guys, I'll only know after I try. However, it's not perfect yet. I can only temporarily suppress you guys from entering extreme Dao. After you become Daoyuo Jingxian, you'll need a higher level of mental cultivation method," Chen Hao said. In the past 50 years, Chen Hao had only comprehended the mental cultivation method of fusing 2 extreme Daos in the heavenly immortal realm. Moreover, he wasn't sure if Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Li Yang could succeed. It would depend on their own comprehension. The human army has all left? They've all been harvested 3 years ago. Hu Mingyang and the others have left. Only Ao Tian stayed behind temporarily. Chen Shui was still wearing a blue dress. Her aura had become more serious. She looked at Chen Hao and said softly, "Since you've come out of seclusion, we should also leave this place. The Emperor Jade Essence area has no value anymore. There's still a lot of opportunities waiting for us in the primitive secret realm." Lan Feng, I asked him to leave first. "Oh, Lan Feng should have left long ago. That kid is our son of destiny." "Who's that? Didn't he join Proud Heaven?" "She left 50 years ago. She probably couldn't let go of her pride. Are we supposed to take the initiative to get close to her? If I were her, I would also leave." "Ha!" Long Ting said with a smile. In terms of conflict, Long Ting and Bailey Ning Bing's conflict was more serious than Chen Shui's. Long Ting naturally didn't like interacting with Bailey Ning Bing. "Brother Hao, shouldn't you fulfill your promise to us?" At this moment, Lung Ning Lu secretly transmitted her voice. "What is it?" "Cultivating the great teleportation technique to the small success realm. My sister and I have already cultivated to the peak of the small success realm. That was before we had the Emperor Jade Essence. Now that we have a large amount of Emperor Jade Essence, you should have some room for improvement. That's all. In the past few decades, the progress of our cultivation has been extremely slow. We can't compare to Sister Shui and the others at all. Brother Hao, wait a moment. You two go and gain experience for a few years. I'll go and find you when the time comes. I have to solve the problem of Pan Long, Li Yang, and Chun Ling's extreme cultivation first. When I'm done, I'll go and find you." Chen Hao transmitted his voice. "Oh, okay, don't forget." After chatting for a while, Chen Hao divided Du Jing, Long Yi, Fan Dongsheng, and Fan Donglu into 3 groups. They led the peripheral members of Proud Heaven to explore and look for opportunities. Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lien, Xiaoyu, Long Ting, the sisters Pan Long, and the others followed him back to the original base. Of course, in the nearly a month after returning to the base, Chen Hao and the girls all took Xiaoji No. 1 to interact with each other. In fact, this was also the main purpose. At the same time, Chen Hao also sent a message through Xiaoji to summon Chen Ling and Li Yang back to the base. In the aircraft, the girls all had their own space and were separated from each other. The purpose of this was naturally to make it easier for Chen Hao to communicate with them. However, the only one that Chen Hao could really communicate with was Tantai Lien. The others could only stay in the realm of mind and heart. Chen Shui had half a natural spirit fetus and a strong soul talent. She still had a huge room for improvement. Hellion Woozy was able to be sent into the endless cycle of reincarnation by many ancient powerhouses at a low martial realm to inherit the lost art of the sect. How could her talent be bad? With Long Ting's innate talent and perception, even if she didn't obtain the peerless Great Dream Heart Sutra, she would still be far from reaching her limit. Although Long Ting couldn't compare to the three of them, she still hadn't reached her limit. Only the sister's situation was a little bit worse. Facing the charming girls alone, Chun Hao wanted to eat them all, but in the end, he forced himself to hold back. The longer the wine aged, the more fragrant it would be. Moreover, in order for the girls to reach a higher martial arts realm in the future and go further, Chun Hao had to consider all the potential factors that could improve their martial arts realm. Otherwise, Chun Hao might become a real loner. That was not what he wanted to see. After returning to the base, Chun Hao directly taught Pan Long the Heart Sutra that he had learned in the past 50 years and asked him to start his closed-door training. He had to constantly monitor Pan Long's condition. If he wasn't careful, he would go crazy and his martial arts realm would be destroyed. There couldn't be any mistakes during this period. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. During these 2 years, Chun hadn't cultivated at all except for a wisp of his mind that was locked on Coiling Dragon. He didn't even cultivate in seclusion. Instead, he either spent time alone with Chun Shui and the others or discussed cultivation experiences with them. Occasionally, he would exchange blows with them to verify his cultivation experiences. Of course, it was inevitable that he would take advantage of them to satisfy his cravings. Such a peaceful, warm, and stress-free life made Chun Hao and the others happy and harmonious. When Li Yong and Chun Ling came back, the girls knew that this leisurely life was about to come to an end. They left one after another to start a new adventure. Tension and relaxation, it was time to start. Brother Hao, don't forget to find us. When they left, the sisters secretly transmitted to each other. Big brother, have you found a way? Li Yong and Chun Ling, who had returned again, had very weak auras. Obviously, they could seal their martial arts realm after sneaking into the human army. For them, this was turning into a mortal in a certain sense. Yes, Pan Long has already started. You can start now. The cultivation process will be very dangerous. My divine sense will always lock onto you. Whether you succeed or not depends on you. Yes, don't worry, big brother. We'll definitely succeed. Boom, boom. As they spoke, the two of them unsealed their martial arts realm, and powerful soul energy instantly burst forth. HM, it's only been 50 years. You've advanced so quickly? Big brother, even we didn't expect this. It's so powerful. Chun Ling exclaimed in surprise as she sensed the energy in her spiritual altar. Sealing one's martial arts realm in the truest sense of the word. Turning into a mortal actually works so well. Is this the transformation of one's mental state? Chun Hao murmured as he sensed their auras. Chapter 851. Chun Hao had been reborn with a large amount of Emperor Jade essence. In the past 50 years, he had already reached the peak of the late stage of the Heaven Immortal stage and had reached his own limit. However, he could not sense the aura of the great divine punishment. He was still far away from the almighty immortal. This was within Chun Hao's expectations. Daluo Jingxian was an extremely difficult path for any cultivator. 99% of heavenly immortal experts were trapped there, unable to break through for the rest of their lives. No matter how talented Chun Hao was, it was impossible for him to break through without a few thousand years. He had to think of all ways to raise his essence, spirit, and soul to the level where he could trigger the great divine punishment. And now, Chun Ling and Li Yang's seal cultivation were close to transcend immortal. In just 50 years, they had improved so much. This undoubtedly touched Chun Hao. Big brother, after sealing one's cultivation, one's way of looking at things will change completely. Ling and I have never experienced the tempering of a lower cultivation realm. Perhaps that's why we improved so much. Liang said, yes, that must be one of the reasons. However, I have to say that the effects of Transcendent Mortal are also very good. Many experts use Transcendent Mortal or even reincarnation to improve themselves. It's not without reason. All right, you can begin. Yes. Chun Hao split 2 strands of his spiritual sense to monitor Chen Ling and Li Yang's condition. Including the coiling dragon, there are only 3 strands of spiritual sense. It did not affect him much. Lonely as snow, high as music, rare as music. When the 3 of them are done with their seclusion, perhaps I should try to transcend it mortal. Otherwise, it's too boring for me to stay in the primitive secret realm. Yes, it's decided then. As long as I seal my cultivation to the same level as Huan Huan and Lei Lei, then dual cultivating with them will be the same as comprehending together. This will be much deeper than them comprehending directly from me. Naturally, the effects will be better. Chen Hao thought to himself. In an instant, he thought of many benefits. In particular, he could help the sisters to the greatest extent. Chi, Hong Long, Hong Long Long. Suddenly, a desolate and remote mountain peak that no one had set foot on for an unknown number of years suddenly collapsed. Countless pieces of rock shot out in all directions, carrying with them terrifying power and speed until they turned red. Then, they were ground in a fine powder by the air and disappeared completely. If there were any cultivators within a radius of 10,000 miles, they would definitely be injured by the sudden explosion of the rubble. One could imagine how powerful it was. A figure silently rose into the sky from the depths of the collapsed mountain. His eyes were like lightning, his long hair fluttered, and his Taoist robe fluttered. 6 paths of reincarnation fist. I've finally mastered it. Brother Fei Yong, congratulations. Brother Fei Yong, now that the 6 paths of reincarnation have been completed, no one in the primitive secret realm will be your match. That's right. We were able to get the opportunity to dual cultivate with Brother Fei Yong, and we improved a lot as well. Brother Fei Yong, thank you. All of you are my women. Why are you being so polite? The number 1 expert of the tyrants, Chu Fei Yong, was surrounded by a mysterious aura. His handsome face shone with a touch of arrogance, but his voice was still gentle as he said, the 6 paths of reincarnation fist is the ultimate technique of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. I was able to master it thanks to your help. However, it's not certain whether I'm invincible in the primitive secret realm. Maurice is very strong. Humaingyang is also unfathomable. God of Massacre Chun Hao is even stronger. Brother Fei Yong, your power has increased by more than 10 times. You can definitely defeat them. That's right. The 6 paths of reincarnation fist contains the most mysterious, profound meaning of reincarnation. Even if one's absolute power is slightly weaker, no one can break it. Brother Fei Yong, your absolute power is definitely not weaker than theirs. Looking at the 6 beauties of different races, Chu Fei Yong shook his head slightly and said, I'm confident in defeating Maurice and Humaingyang. However, it's hard to say for God of Massacre Chen Hao. After 60 years, with the transformation of the Emperor Jade Marrow, his 5-element secret art must have improved tremendously. I can feel that his 5-element secret art is definitely not weaker than my 6 paths of reincarnation fist. If I want to defeat him, I have to obtain Humaingyang's natural embryo. You don't have to worry about it. I'm indeed interested in Humaingyang, but it's impossible to tame such an unruly woman. I'm from the tyrants, and she's from the human race. Fire and water cannot coexist. So, at most, I can obtain her primordialine body, set off immediately, and pass down my orders. Once there's news of Humaingyang, report to me immediately. Brother Fei Yong, do you want to challenge her? No, sometimes you don't have to challenge her. She's an ambitious woman. If there's enough benefits, I believe she'll cooperate with me. Go. Okay. After watching the 6 women leave, Chu Fei Yong slowly sank into the ground. The smile on his face disappeared. How can you compare to Humaingyang? No matter if it's talent, cultivation level, or appearance, they're all worlds apart. Gotta Massacre Chun Hao's woman is also incredible. His luck with women is really boundless. This should be mine. Chu Feiyang's handsome face finally revealed his true loftiness. He even wore a mask in front of his woman. His shrewdness could be seen. Hu Meinyang and Chun Hao have a deep grudge. I believe she won't reject my suggestion. After we cooperate, this primitive secret realm will belong to me. Chu Feiyang. F***CK your mother. You scare me to death. Thousands of miles away, a figure who had completely restrained his aura was crawling on top of a mountain peak. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. His shoulder blade was badly mutilated, pierced by broken rocks. Chu Feiyang, this bastard, is actually so strong. The 6 paths of reincarnation fist seems very strong. He wants to cooperate with Hu Meinyang to deal with Boss. The relationship between Boss and Hu Meinyang, I don't understand. However, Hu Meinyang is very ambitious. She might really cooperate with this guy for huge benefits. No, I have to report this to Boss immediately. The Child of Destiny, Lan Feng, didn't expect to see this scene in this desolate and remote corner. If he hadn't restrained his aura at the moment when the mountain peak exploded and allowed a piece of rock to pierce through his shoulder, he would have been discovered by the powerful Chu Feiyang. At that time, even if he activated the flying device, it would be hard to say whether he could escape. Master, I've already sent a message back to the base. Oh, smart. That's good. Lan Feng saw that the flying device had silently appeared beside him and had simulated the conversation between Chu Feiyang and the 6 women to him. After saying this, he felt relieved, recorded the coordinates, and sent it over together. Let's leave here first. Damn, he's too strong. After Lan Feng finished speaking, he quietly stepped into the flying device. Immediately, the flying device disappeared into thin air. Even in his dreams, Chu Feiyang didn't expect that his plan would be ruined by Lan Feng, the Child of Destiny. Chapter 852. Coiling Dragon. Guard your mind for me. Senior brother. I'm afraid I can't. F***CK. Even the gods can't save you if you give up. How can I, Chen Hao, have a brother like you? Senior brother, shut up. Hold on no matter what. If you succeed, you'll still be my brother. If you fail, I can still save your life. But get out of my sight. I don't have a brother like you. Senior brother. I'll hold on. I won't give up until the last moment. No matter how great the pain is, I can bear it. It's just that I really can't see any hope. Hope is right in front of you. If you trust me, then keep your spirits up and hold on until the end. Chen Hao's tones softened slightly. No one knew better than him how painful it was to forcefully defy the heavens and merge 2 extreme Daos. Chun Hao had experienced such pain when he was trying to figure out how to merge 2 extreme Daos. Even he had thought of giving up countless times. At this moment, how could Chun Hao not feel heartache when Coiling Dragon, a madman who loved battles as much as his life, had become like this? But at this time, he could not comfort him. He could only provoke him. Fortunately, after hearing Coiling Dragon's words, Chun Hao understood that it was not that Coiling Dragon could not bear the torture, but that he could not see any hope. No thoughts, no desires, no desires. Don't think about the result. I'll now recite the sutra for you. This is the sutra that I haven't been able to comprehend until now. This is your hope. Merge into it. Buzz. Chun Hao took out his final trump card, the outline of the Great Tao. Even though he knew that the merging of extreme Daos was extremely difficult and dangerous, he did not expect Coiling Dragon to be in such a desperate situation. At the moment of merging, Coiling Dragon's soul was almost destroyed. At this moment, only a wisp of consciousness was left. His meridians were broken and his dantian collapsed. If he gave up now, Chun Hao could save Coiling Dragon's life, but it was almost impossible to preserve Coiling Dragon's cultivation. Therefore, he had to succeed. As long as the merging was successful, Coiling Dragon could break out of his cocoon and become a butterfly. Dong, dong, dong. a voice as grand and vast as the evening drum and morning bell instantly filled the entire cave. At this moment, Chun-Hao was not only chanting in the soul of the coiling dragon that was on the verge of collapse, he was also fusing everything he had learned in his life into the outline of the great Tao, chanting clearly. This was the last resort. Chun-Hao didn't have the slightest confidence that he could help Pan Long. After all, the general outline of the great Tao was truly profound. Up until now, he had only comprehended a little bit of it. The Red Dust Heart Sutra and the 7 emotions and 6 desires were all unleashed. Chun-Hao was trying to stimulate the coiling dragon's consciousness and obsession with the Sanskrit sound of the great Tao, so as to allow the most profound emotional power in the world to control him and unleash its potential to the greatest extent. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As Chun-Hao's syllables floated out of his mouth, all the mountains in the base resonated with him. The laws of Tao rolled, and the spiritual chi of heaven and earth surged. It was as if Humain-Yang, a congenital embryo of Tao, had arrived. Gradually, as Chun-Hao's lips opened and closed, a mysterious and magical scene appeared. Lotus blossoming tongue. This was the true lotus blossoming tongue. It wasn't a metaphor of eloquence or a string of witty words. Instead, it was a phenomenon that would only appear when an accomplished Buddhist monk chanted and preached the Tao. Once this phenomenon appeared, the listeners would feel as if they had been enlightened. Even the epiphany that cultivators yearned for could appear. It definitely had an incomparably miraculous effect. Every syllable that Chun-Hao uttered seemed to have transformed into a dazzling lotus flower at this moment. It floated into the air and revolved around Pan Long, enveloping him. Boundless mist rose into the air. In just a short moment, Pan Long's remaining strand of consciousness became even more stable and resilient. As for Chun-Hao himself, he became as solemn as a treasure statue, holy and peaceful. Even Chun-Hao didn't expect such a miraculous scene to appear. All this time, Chun-Hao had been reciting the primary outline of the great Tao in his mind. He had never actually recited it aloud. However, the current situation made Chun-Hao clearly understand that after reciting it aloud, the primary outline of the great Tao actually had an even more miraculous effect. Buddhism was Tao. Buddhism and Tao were one family. Buddhism originated from Tao. It wasn't strange at all that the primary outline of the great Tao contained the profound meaning of Buddhism. In the profound meaning of the sutra, Pan Long's last strand of consciousness was completely immersed in it. There was no law, no thought, no heaven, no earth, no self. His mind was empty. The pain of the flesh and the pain of the soul were detached from his senses. He was in a trance. He seemed to be awake, yet not awake. He seemed to be asleep, yet not asleep. The strand of consciousness became purer and stronger. The soul that was on the verge of collapse began to reassemble. The 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls began to condense. The broken meridians shattered dantian, and withered flesh and blood once again bloomed with vitality. Golden light shone. It was as if he had been reborn from nirvana. It was as if his golden body had been reconstructed. All the pain was far away. There was no time, no space. In the oblivion, the true self was gradually revealed. In the Sanskrit chants of the great Tao, Pan Long recovered little by little and merged little by little, breaking and re-establishing, breaking out of the cocoon and becoming a butterfly. When he obtained the extreme Tao inheritance, the soul power that was rooted in his physical body began to converge toward Pan Long's spiritual altar. Crystal light shone in all directions. However, the ancient ferocious beast aura that permeated Pan Long's physical body did not weaken. Instead, it became stronger. What was more shocking was that the aura of hundreds of ancient ferocious beasts began to merge. It released a powerful force invisibly. After Chun-Hao's strand of consciousness discovered Pan Long's changes, he was completely relieved. He was both surprised and happy. What surprised Chun-Hao even more was that the strands of consciousness he had left in Liang and Chunling's mind spontaneously merged with his true body due to the influence of reciting the primary outline of the Great Tao without any distractions. As a result, it directly affected Li Yang and Chunling. The dense qi that permeated from his true body penetrated the cave and enveloped Li Yang and Chunling's bodies. It made the two of them undergo mysterious changes. The fusion speed increased by many times. It should be known that Li Yang and Chunling had started 2 years later than Panlong. However, Chunhao sensed that in a few months, the two of them would enter the final juncture of fusion. Moreover, a dangerous situation like Panlong would definitely not occur again. Moreover, Chunhao also sensed that his soul and physical body, which had reached their limits long ago, had broken through and started to become stronger again. Under such circumstances, Chunhao directly threw away all his worries and immersed himself in reciting the primary outline of the Great Tao. Outside the base, the vast and majestic mountain peak shone brightly. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth unknowingly became denser and denser. Withered trees sprouted and ancient trees bloomed. Everything in the world was brimming with vitality and vitality. The Sanskrit of the Great Tao was like a spring rain moisturizing everything, causing subtle changes to quietly occur within a radius of 10,000 kilometers. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.